Hello, comics and pop culture people, or cop culture people, whatever. Pop culture people, pop culture people, whichever. It's your friend Brian, aka Bigby McFly, and I'm joined tonight by a couple of my friends, Hagen from Lettuce Comics and Nate from Hall Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw my promo video, but we had the good, the bad, and the dirty, and Hagen claimed the dirty. So Nate, I guess, are you the good or the bad?
I'll take the bad.
All right,
I'm gonna leave you the good.
You have the goatee for the bad.
Thanks for hosting. Yeah, I have what is the devil goatee called? It's because this is all that grows.
The devil goat. I had for the longest time. I'm Native American, and my facial hair would not grow, and it just like my father, he'll just keep shaving it, and eventually it'll just sprout and it won't stop.
Huh.
And then eventually it did.
I was never visited by the beard fairy.
The beard fairy came to me one night in the middle of my sophomore year at college, and life has never been the same because I have a double chin, and now I can pretend like I don't. So
right. I went and got my hair cut for a job interview, and had them trim up my facial hair, and I said, my face is very round, but I like to pretend it's not. All right, well, let's say hey to people in the chat.
We got of people.
Comic Collector Coach. We got the awesome, amazing Richard Westfall.
Richard.
Some guy named Lettuce Comics.
Who let him in?
No, I don't know.
Richard Lettuce Coach. Side Quest Comics. Renegade Rants.
Hey, y'all.
Big Nasty Comics.
Big Nasty.
All right, so beards are for the best. Let's see. Now I'm just hitting like all the names now. Let me see who we got here. What we got people saying. It's Deja Vu. It's like or Data Vu. Data Vu. Is that like Star Trek? Data Vu.
Yeah, that's Brent Spiner's twin brother.
Right. He did have a twin in Star Trek, didn't he?
Yeah, Lore. And in one of the
right.
movies,
Lore
before you want me to go down the rabbit hole? I can tell you all about the Soong androids.
Yeah, Lore and Lol. I was pretty big into Star Trek. Okay, not big. I liked Star Trek. How's that?
Lol.
I wouldn't say I'm big. Lol was great.
That episode is wonderful. Like,
yeah.
Data's daughter. I don't know what the title is. It's probably Data's daughter.
Yeah. The one where I think was it Deanna Troi that said that his hands were working so fast that they were a blur?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yes. You've seen it.
Oh man.
It's so good. It's so good.
Richard, it's debatable. I mean, both have their merits.
Yes.
I think Star Wars is more dystopian than Star Trek. But
why pit one against the other?
I
like both.
I do agree there. Like everybody's gonna have their preference, but I mean, right. I do enjoy both a lot.
Marcus,
like don't make me pick between Jean-Luc Picard, Geordi LaForge, and Darth Vader. Like just don't make me do it. I like it all.
Right.
Have you seen some of those mashups? Like there's a video where it's Darth Vader versus Batman, where Batman has to go to the Death Star to rescue Superman.
No.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
See, Richard still comes in with a yeah.
No, I would say that there's room for all at the sci-fi table, right? Right.
We're not gatekeepers here. Like what you like.
Right. That's right. So yeah. So first, before we get going, everybody that's in the chat, if you would please hit the like button. And if you guys are not already subscribed to Hagen at Lettuce Comics and Nate at Hall Yeah Comics, please do that. They're super good guys. And they deserve way more subscribers than they have. Actually, that was one of the things I was going to ask you guys to come with tonight. Well, you can kind of go off the cusp. But I wanted to have a shout out to other channels that you feel like you appreciate in this last year. Or that you feel like are underappreciated.
Steve Driscoll.
Stevie D. Yeah.
Stevie
D.
Comics with Stevie D. That guy dedicated to putting out content on a regular basis. Really, really great guy. Positive dude. Yeah.
I talk to Steve. I'm sure Hagen does as well. Multiple times through the week. Like I text with him a lot. I just love him. I just freaking love him. So, yeah, more people should enjoy him. I got a couple shout outs.
Yeah, for sure.
Dead Man Cover Show. Terrence, he has an amazing DC collection, and he's been showing off a lot of covers. He also has been showing off a lot of his Star Trek books.
Oh, very cool.
And very cool. Yeah, very cool. He shows the books, and he knows, like, he's done research on who did the covers, and he gives you info. I'm not an info guy when I show books, but I enjoy it, and I think he does a good job. And then just a brand new channel, and I don't know, he may pop up in the chat, but Belazard has started making videos as well.
I need to check his stuff out. He's been really great about supporting me over time, and I need to.
Yeah,
he invited me to a D&D Discord that he's running. So,
very cool. I'm trying to get like.
Do you want to invite me?
Yes,
people together to do a D&D, some sort of a. Did you ever see that video Mr. Akins did about what if comic book YouTubers played Dungeons and Dragons?
No.
Oh my God, you've got to see it. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Akins is all excited about that. I'm starting to DM a campaign for me and my friends. It's a ton of fun. I would kill to have a D&D campaign with a bunch of comic book nerds.
We should work that out. That would be
something
fun.
going with Mr. Akins and Travis from Comics Limited. He's also a dungeon master. So it'll be awesome.
A little bit, but I just saw also in the last video, Mr. Akins and Dave were 35 cents for talking about the Marvel Heroes role-playing game a little bit.
Oh my God,
streaming that somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's how so did you watch the Netflix Punisher and Turk and Grotto? Right out of the Marvel role-playing game. That's where I learned about those characters. Those are like the first two guys you fight in Marvel role-playing are Turk and Grotto, just ground level thugs, right?
That's awesome.
So,
and now as far as shout outs go, Richard, I know you're listening to this. You are the most prolific supporter of comic book YouTubers that's out there. Dude, you kick ass, and I love every time you comment on one of my things that I happen to do. Who would you recommend? Because I know that you're just all over this scene. You have a wrench. Drop their links in the chat. This is your time to shine, buddy.
Your shout outs, Richard. Who do you want to?
Great idea.
Shout out for sure. I want a couple of people. I would like to shout out Bronze Age Nerd, my Monday night show partner. Great guy. And what's on the comic rack, Mr. Akins and Travis Comics Limited.
Travis.
Guys that super support me in my personal life. Mon Comics, also just people that check on me like, hey, are you doing okay? How's things going? Like people that care. And Richard, I mean, so just love all you guys. This community is so amazing. Like you were saying, Hagen, in your year-end video, like you were like, I was like hesitant about I was that same way when I first started out. It's like, how are these guys going to be about accepting me into the community? And it's just like, boom. It just, everybody is so nice. And another person that, I mean, not understood. Well, everybody's undersubscribed, right? I mean, Alan,
right.
Like, dude took me under his wing right away and was, his suggestions to me on how to go about my channel. He was just like, just put stuff out there. Just keep putting stuff out there. Yeah. Just do it. If you think too much about it, it's not going to happen. Just do it. And so
I mean, so if we can talk about that for like a little bit. There are some people that treat this enterprise as like they're running a TV show, and I don't begrudge them that at all. The people that come to my mind when I think about that are like Comic Tom and Mint Hunter and another channel that I don't want to mention. But if you think about it like that, then that's totally fine. If that's what you want to do, if that's what makes you happy, absolutely great, because people find fulfillment in different ways. I treat like YouTube videos that I make as a more creative way to do a Facebook post. It's social media. And like, it doesn't matter if it gets 20 views and 5 likes, because those 20 views are probably people that like know you. Like I watch every single one of like Nate's videos that he puts out. I watch every single one of like several people that I have like regular interactions with, and that's enough for me. Like the connection with people is the important part to me.
Yeah. I have been like watching I've been a regular YouTube watcher for a long time, like a lot of channels and series and things that I've enjoyed, and I have never ever once hit the bell for any channels until it was comic book YouTube time. Like I didn't care, I subscribed, but I would just look at my feed to pick which videos I was going to watch. But like you guys, I totally I want my phone to pop up and let me know when there's something new.
Yeah, well, it's different with this community, because like I watch sim racing videos, I watch chess videos, I watch video essays about anything, and there is a community there. There are like the same people in comment sections, but I know you guys, like the way that every single one of the people that I interact with, the way that they are in this recorded time and the way that they are in the 10 minutes before and 10 minutes to 2 hours after is the same. Like just people. And these
I've had people ask me that. They're like, well, how can you go on there and talk when you know that like all these other people could be watching? And I'm like, it's not like that. I'm just talking with my friends, and the other people in the chat are my friends. Like it's all just part of like hanging out with a large group of friends. Like it's really cool. Yeah. Appreciate everybody.
I feel like we're very lucky, because Nate and I were on a stream last night where like he and I were both just like cracking up, dying laughing. And when you have those moments with your friends, like in real life, you have the memories of them, but you don't get to keep them. I get to keep these, for as long as Alan has
there's a video record you can go back and watch and laugh along with it again. There are videos that I can watch. Like if you guys watch that playing Dungeons and Dragons with or what if comic book YouTubers played Dungeons and Dragons, it's hilarious. What he did, he took snippets out of other people's videos and made them responses to him as the dungeon master.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Hilarious. Well,
Mr. Aiken, send me that video, please.
Me too.
That sounds amazing.
I'm writing it down though.
It is hilarious. Anybody who's in the chat, if you guys want to, I can have up to 6 people on the stream. If anybody wants to be part of it, just hit me up in a DM on Instagram. You're welcome to join. But we're just hanging out. We're showing some books that we got in the last year. And we're going to be chatting and hanging out for as long as people want to hang out and chat, and people can come in and go out and do whatever they want. But so so I just wanted to start that off with kind of like last year I did a video of like thankfulness and being mindful of like what and I broke down crying several times during the video about like the people that I care about and that have been so kind to me in the community. And so I just wanted to kind of touch on that again here. We're still in January, so So
there's a couple more, and they're in the chat right now, man. So Renegade Rants, he's been putting out videos more regularly. Jason, and I like his stuff a lot. And Uncanny Derek is somebody who's streamed with me in the past, and another one of my
super funny guy.
Oh my god, dude, we have so much fun. And then Eric from SideQuest Comics, he's a fellow Midwestern boy.
Eric's awesome.
And I feel so like I talk to a lot of you guys on the daily, like even if it's just a quick message here or there or whatever, but like, and then sometimes it's like, Hagen got a new car today, and he let me know, like he sent me a picture, like because we're buddies, and it's a big deal. He got his new car.
That happened. Chris, Bronze Age Nerd, like for Christmas, he's like, dude, I'm crying, and he sent me a picture, and it was a car with a bow on it because he had all these problems.
His parents gave him that, didn't they?
Yeah, they bought a new car, and they didn't trade in their old one, and he couldn't figure out why. And then on Christmas, there it was out in front of his house with a bow on it.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
Okay. I have to sort of piggyback off of that. My sibling, long story short, me and my sibling got savings bonds for Christmas from our Filipino grandparents, from my Lola and Lolo. They didn't want to use theirs, and for Christmas, because they knew that I've like, we've dealt with this hurricane. My wife recently lost her job. A bunch of stuff has happened. I opened up an envelope from them, and there was a not insignificant amount of money, and that's what I was able to buy this car with. And so, like, the Bronze Age nerd thing, it reminded me of that. And
there are moments where you just are brought to tears by people's generosity and kindness in this world. It's just like, there are those moments where you're just like, I can't believe.
I was speechless. I opened that envelope and I saw what was in there, and I didn't know what to say or do. I just hugged them and told them that I love them, and I didn't know what else to do. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of in a public way acknowledge that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, this is the time to reflect on, like I said, I want to reflect on thankfulness and mindfulness of like good things that have happened to you in the last year, and like and appreciation for people.
And Jason, really quick, let me answer your question. What did I get? I got a 2004 Mazda 3 with a 5-speed manual transmission. I'm very happy about it.
Oh, there you go.
Right, I love the manual transmission. Love it. Yeah. I mean, I had one of my first cars was a manual, and they just don't make them that much anymore unless you get, more sports cars.
Yeah. No,
there was a question a little earlier too for Nate about what he was drinking.
Oh, I answered in the chat, but it's Saturday night, so I'm having some scotch, some Ardbeg.
Gotcha. And my son is going to be coming through the door here, so I will pretend like he's not here, and hopefully he doesn't pull my. Don't pull the internet cord. Careful.
Hello, Small B McFly.
Small B McFly.
Thank you, buddy. I'm online. Thank you.
How old's your son?
He is 16 years old.
Oh,
he's a rock and roll musician now. He's getting awesome at playing the guitar. Whoops! And I just pound my microphone. He we went and looked at some. He got I said Dusty Rhodes earlier. It's Randy Rhodes guitar, Flying V for Christmas. And he's awesome. I love my son. He's amazing. So
here's Doug.
Just brought me some dinner.
Very nice.
So yeah. Does one of you guys does one of you guys want to go first?
I want to show a couple of books just to start off.
All right.
And you don't have to embiggen me for this or anything.
Okay.
This just piggybacks. This piggybacks on community. So like first off is The Ferret. This is number
book
1.
Of the year.
This is the book of the year. Like this really is. And Hagen likes to, I mean, look at him. He's like, how did I spend $1 and, send this ripple? Because it's ridiculous. And we're all kind of on board with it. And I think it's funny. This one in particular, like the die cut is so flippin' funny to me. So I couldn't be happier with this one. And then the other one is my Nightcat. I know I sent one. There it is.
Do you know the story behind that one? I'm sure you do, right?
Yes, I know that Comic Tropes, Chris, and is a friend of yours. His deep dive videos are like some of my favorite things ever. And the one that he did on Nightcat is just absolutely epic. And I'd seen that video, but I never saw this book in the wild. And I found it 3 times this year. So I sent one to Hagen, and then I sent the other one to Dave, still only 35 cents in Australia. And it's just another one of those, like, it's a $5 freaking book, and it's silly and ridiculous and hideous. But the story of it is great. But more than that, it's the giggles that I'm sharing with my friends.
So for anybody who doesn't know, do you guys want to share the story behind what that's about? There we go.
I got this. Dave sent me this, which is just outstanding. So this is the vinyl of the DJ House singles. So the story of Nightcat. If you don't know the story of Nightcat, you should definitely watch Comic Trope's video on it. And somewhere I did a video on it, so you could watch that too. But she is like a musical superhero, kind of like Dazzler. There's a mob story in it, so it's kind of like the Huntress too. I get big Huntress vibes off of it. But the idea was Stan Lee was gonna. They wanted this to be a like hybrid comic book musical act, and they hired a real actress to play the Nightcat. They hired a singer. They recorded an album. You can find the album on cassette. You can find the album on YouTube and listen for free.
They decided that they were going to be a multimedia thing. They were going to cross over with the MTV generation, right?
Yeah.
They were going to have music that came from the comics, which was going to inspire people to read the books, which is going to have videos, which is going to have albums, and yeah, that didn't happen.
I mean, music, you can do so much with comic books, but music is just almost impossible, And
I would argue not. Like, you could do some cool music videos, like James Gunn has done great things with music, with like Guardians of the Galaxy, pairing that up with scenes in the movies and stuff. So I can
right, but I'm saying doing music in a comic book.
Oh yeah, no, you don't want to do the music in the comic book. But you got music inspired by the comic book.
Yes, inspired by is fine, often awesome, but yes, the music in here, not so good. So those were two books that I definitely have on my. That's like part of my favorite books of the year, even though because they're really silly. Because there's something that bring me joy.
I think those books are so funny because I don't think, Nate, you and I do a lot of live shows together. I don't think that there is a book that you and I have talked about more, or any two books that you and I have talked about more than The Ferret and Nightcat. And that's just hilarious to me.
Well, because also, like, I mean, you bought Avengers freaking 4 or whatever, like that's what you should talk about nonstop. But it's not. It's all these dollar books.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like those things that bring you joy, right? And hey, right. I wanted to go say something about like things that were meant to be. Like, you guys, I don't know, you guys when I first saw you guys with Ricky, you guys together were just like meant to be a couple of guys to hang out and chat together. You guys pair so well together.
That was the first time we hung out.
Yeah.
That was the first hour of conversation that Nate and I had ever had.
We have literally been bros from first stream.
Right. And that's what we're talking about. Like, you're just immediately accepted into like everybody's life. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, he's a brother. He's a friend of the.
And after that stream, Bigby, you were the first person from the community who literally sent me a text that said, "Welcome to the community,"
right?
Which I thought was like so nice and so cool. So,
I want to get back into doing that. I was doing that thing, the hashtag comic book shout out, like for promoting the community, and like that. It's kind of fallen off, but I need to get back. I did a promo video a while ago where it's coming back, and then I never did it.
I know I'm jumping a little bit, but you had asked for channel shout outs, and that was one of the things I wrote down for one of my goals this year, was just to collaborate and do some more quick shout outs for people. And yes, Son of Crom for sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Renegade. He is another.
He's going to get some shout outs when I'm showing books later on.
I could grab a couple too.
Yeah, there's some stuff that like, I don't think I'm going to make anybody big tonight. I just want to see everybody's reaction to everybody else's books.
That's fine.
Perfectly fine with that when we're holding them up. So I think I want to keep everybody part of the discussion and just be like, we can all be kind of reacting to what each other's showing.
Well, if we're going to do
your world, Biggles, we're just living in it.
If we're going to do that, you want to just like, do some round robin, show what
let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Right,
I want to see what you brought, Bigby.
I brought a smattering of all kinds of weird stuff. I have a whole lot of Fantastic Four that I got from Brandon. I don't want to make people sick of seeing Fantastic Four, but I got a whole lot of really great books from On Comics. SideQuest says he can come on. Oh yeah, hit me or let me hit you with a whoops.
Bigby, if you want me to do it for you, I can.
Yeah, go ahead. That would be awesome.
I got you, bro.
Man. I don't know if you guys watched my live stream with Mr. Akins the other day, but that was hilariously bad.
Oh,
Like I started trying to switch screens and everything, and I somehow muted myself, and then I couldn't unmute myself, and I had booted myself from my own stream. And
if
Mr.
you watch
Akins was a champ. He jumped in and started showing books and talking to the chat and everything.
You
Alan's-
have to watch our stream from last night on Alan's show. Oh,
I was watching you guys when he was saying Matt's frozen, and everyone's like, "Oh, I swear to God, Matt's not frozen." And I'm like, "Matt's all good. I swear. Hagen's like, I swear on somebody's life.
I swore on my dad's grave, my living father's grave.
That was insane. I loved it. I couldn't believe how off the rails that went. But it was some of the most fun I've ever had on the stream, and also like
where he couldn't see.
I know
Matt moving, but
some of the best books.
Yeah.
Some of the best books we showed were last night too.
Great books, and I was like, I'd be like, "Hey, is anybody going to show Death Rattle?" And then the next thing pop up, Death Rattle. Yeah,
right.
So yeah, that was a really good show. I feel bad that I used to be on there pretty regularly, but work has kind of killed it for me, where I can't get on a regular basis. So, but I'm glad that the tradition has carried on. And,
yeah, it's
more people come on to show
something else. Speaking of gratitude, a huge debt to Alan and Steven, and Matt. Matt is another channel should shout out.
Yeah,
if you don't
Matt likes comics, absolutely.
He is hustling, man. He is putting out videos constantly, consistently. He's hosting a Tuesday night stream like weekly. Unlike Hagen and I, who do a Tuesday night stream occasionally,
semi-annually.
It's the biannual.
Whenever I feel like, whenever the moment strikes, I'll come on. I'm great at like not putting any notice or anything out and just popping on, and then people are like, when did you say you were going live? It's like, okay, right. I guess we're here to watch, but yeah. All right. Well, do we want to just do kind of, I guess, like
show a couple? What do you got?
Show a couple. All right. Let me show some things.
I'm excited.
Like I said to you guys earlier, like some unexpected things. So like, I got these as a gift from Chris, Bronze Age Nerd. So like the full set of Sanity from our good buddy over there. Gosh, why can't I think of his name? You know Sanity, right?
No, I was going to say, what's Sanity? I've never.
You're not familiar with Sanity? It is by Swaggelhaus. Swaggelhaus is the writer of this book. So this is his book. So I got 1, 2, and 3 from Chris, Bronze Age Nerd. So Swaggelhaus or Swag or whatever you guys want to call him, he was kind enough to send an extra set to Chris and said, please pass this along to Bigby. So
that's really cool.
A set of the Sanity books. So I still have to read it, but it looks really cool. It's like a Cthulhian mystery book. So Coastal Carolina Comics has these great giveaways on Instagram, and I won this book, this Nathan Zerdy hack / tattoo book. So that was a cool one, like an unexpected book to get for the year. Yeah.
She looks like she'd hurt my feelings.
My wife actually read hack / recently, the trades.
Hack / it has a lot in common with there's a couple books that have that. There's another one, Body Bags. It's like the beautiful girl with the big monster sidekick that are monster hunters kind of thing. From our friend Travis, Comics Limited, Christmas present, Liberty Meadows. I don't know if you guys know. Are you Frank Cho fans? Either you guys?
I am a fan of his art. I never really read much of that outside of when I worked at the comic book store. I would get to read things for free. I love it in terms of like the way it looks. I just never really followed it.
So this book is originally his comic was a comic strip in the newspapers. Right. And so this is all his Sunday comic book strips in a book. So
Eric is in the stream.
I see that. Let me pop him on the stage. Hey, Eric.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
man.
friend.
So those are some unexpected a few gems. Well, and then I'll just kind of quickly show a little stack of a family member at Christmas time. They were visiting from out of town, and they have a storage thing up here, and they had been collecting Liberty Meadows, and
Cool.
they go, hey, this was in my storage. Do you want them? And so
Yes, I do actually. Funny you mention it.
And a number of them are signed.
Wow.
So that is pretty cool.
Is he still working? Is he still making this
show?
book?
Yeah, he works for DC a lot. He does like a lot of Harley Quinn covers.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of DC covers. He's
got that bombshell down.
Yeah, he is great. So so I love his art.
Very cool.
Yeah. So so big stack of books that I was like, yes, please. So who wants to go next? We're gonna go round the clock. There, Hagen, you wanna go?
I got a couple, sure. Well, like I showed earlier when Nate was showing his, but I too have a nightcat. I've been sent a ridiculous number of books this year by just like people out of the kindness of their heart. I do have to show this though. We were tasked to do to show pinup comics that we owned on a Nate, you know what this is, on a stream of Alan's, and I don't collect pinup comics. It's just not really my thing. So I had to quickly fab one up, and I came up with this.
I love it.
So there's that. But let's see. There's stuff that I have up on my wall. Everything that you see up here, with the exception of, everything on this bottom row has been sent to me this year, just by people because they wanted to. One of the things that I got sent, technically it was in 2025, but I'm going to count it anyway, was this. And this is from somebody that deserves a shout out. Dope Comics.
There you go.
This is a Captain America annual from 2001, graded in a 9.6, signed by Joe Simon.
Wow,
so cool.
Which is like just incredible. I had a goal to get the signatures of Stan Lee, Joe Simon, and Jack Kirby. So Joe Simon, he just sent that to me out of the blue, said that he hoped I liked it. And Dave from Still Only 35 Cents has a book that he wants to give me at Heroes Con that's signed by Stan Lee. So that's 2 out of 3 down, and like just like insanely generous from both of them, just wildly generous. And both of them said that they wanted to give them to me because they knew how much I would enjoy them, and like they're the best.
The community is amazing. Like it's just like I'm telling you, man. Like
we are making Richard work overtime. He's posting all of these links as we're saying them. Good for you, bud.
And it's it's the great feeling of like giving somebody a book though that they'll appreciate. Like that is just, people are like, why? And you're like, just because it makes me feel good knowing that it's going to a place that's gonna. I don't know if you guys saw our Christmas thing for me and Chris, Bronze Age Nerd, but he's opening up the gift I sent him. He's like, dude, you're kidding me. And it was Conan #1. And I was like, dude, I know we've talked about this. You saw that I had 2 and you were like, mentioned that you wanted it. And I was like, there's no place where I'd rather it be. So
yeah, absolutely. Let me see. I don't have a ton of books to show. But like, if you want to talk about the generosity of like the community,
people are wanting a print of your artwork they're hanging.
I guarantee you don't. I have the handwriting of an epileptic.
You gotta at least post that on Instagram.
I have.
Okay.
I think I have anyway.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
but
I haven't seen it. No.
If you want to talk
make a shirt of it,
if you want to talk about the kindness of people, these are all of my Captain America #1 duplicates. And the reason they're duplicates is because people have sent me books. And if somebody sends me a book that I already have, it replaces the one that I have in my collection. And people just know that that's something that I'm looking for. And, you know, like, I don't care that they sent me something that I already have. I now have in that run books with fingerprints, you know, books that I look at that and I think, like, Stevie D sent me that, or Collecto 6, Steven sent me that, or you know, Doug sent me X, or Harper sent me Y. And it's
do you put like little
so
notes?
cool.
Like some people put notes on the back, like, so
I write it on the backing board.
From like on the back
That's
back
a
board.
great idea.
Yeah.
You know what would be neat, Hagen, is to put them all, like, make just a big wall collage of all those same books.
Mhm.
You know, behind.
Oh,
you.
when I slot the last book into my collection, I'm spreading them all out on the floor and filming my intro like that. That's what it's gonna be. Richard also sent me several Liefeld Captain America books.
Excellent.
Delicious,
money is.
delicious
That's awesome.
stuff.
You know, but it's
Never-
all part of the history of comics, right? It's something that happened, and it's enjoyable for what it is.
One of my goals for 2025 is to Uncanny Derek made a great video essay about the state of the comic book market, and I want to do. I love watching video essays. I want to do one on Rob Liefeld, something much less relevant, just because it's a topic that I think is interesting. The way that he is, like, viewed, and the way that he's treated by some people, I find fascinating. And I dig at him a little bit, but I do have a genuine respect for him. And
You got to give him like the props that, like, he didn't have the professional training that a lot of people had, and he broke in, and he was able to, just by the sheer innovation of his work or style that he had, the difference of his work compared to other people enjoyed it, and he was able to carve out a niche for himself, even though, you know, he may not have been as well versed as a lot of those guys. So,
well, I mean, he started working for Marvel at 17 or 18. Like, he was
Is that
nothing
the first
but energy.
Liefeld, Eric?
That's the first
Lawrence
Liefeld.
the Bear.
Which issue?
Is that first Liefeld?
Yeah.
There we go.
Wow. Okay.
Will you call your video Feet?
No, I actually do have a title for it, and I have a
Feet of
thumbnail
Greatness.
ready.
That's great. I hope
Rated R for Rob.
I cannot wait for you to put that together. I hope you get it done.
I'm like halfway through scripting it, so wish me luck.
Excellent. I have I'm just going to stick with a couple community ones again. So Eric sent me the entire run.
Have you finished reading it yet?
I have not. I'm on 8. I'm savoring it, but I do actually love it. I can't wait. I'm gonna talk about it in a video after I finish. Like, this is what, like, you know, like a He-Man, She-Ra kind of comic book should have been. Like, this feels like the comic book for a toy if it was done well. There's some definite cheesy stuff in it. Okay. I mean, it's about a princess and all of them are named after gemstones, but some of, like, I think the art is pretty good. Especially for like 19, you know what, I like the art in it. The writing is not bad. But the panel layouts in a lot of the issues, and I can't find one in this first one. But they do these borders of, like, you know, dragons or things. Like, they really lean into the fantasy aspect of it. And I got a lot of respect for that. So, but, you know, that was like, so Eric saw a video I made where I had the issue 1.
You were ranting and raving about that. I'm
because I loved it, because it was absurd. And then he finds the full freaking run and sent it to me out of the kindness of his heart. And, like, I am, and maybe that's tainting it. Maybe that's why I'm so joyful reading
everything there is to get for that series.
That definitely adds an aspect of enjoyment when somebody that you know gave it to you, right? So,
and we already mentioned Son of Crom. He sent me this.
Yeah.
Right.
Holy crap! This is the first appearance of the Legion of Supervillains. I mean, this is a big boy book to me. Superman 147, and I mean, it's in nice shape. It's really cool, and I couldn't believe that he just sent this to me. And then another one, this is the last one I'll show because this is another one that is like so freaking huge. And Dope Comics sent me TMNT 4 first printing, and
that's
I mean,
amazing.
he sent me a pile of turtles.
I remember you doing that unboxing. Wasn't it like was that the one where the boxes kept flying at you and you're like,
yes,
this is getting ridiculous.
But I mean, it legitimately was. I showed up and at home, and there were there was one box on the porch, and I came in, and my son said, "Dad, you have packages of comics." I said, "I know, I got it off the porch." He's like, "No, there's these we already got." And I mean, one of them was the one from Crom was ridiculous because he sent me New 52 action and Superman runs and all these miniseries, like just all this stuff.
The amount of money that man has spent in shipping is insane.
His generosity is just beyond the pale. He could not be a nicer, more of a cheerleader for the community.
I gotta say, I'm gonna jump in on the Son of Crom thing. So, like, for those who don't know, early on, like mid-year this year, everybody in my chat groups were like, "Hey, there's this fella. He's getting out of comics or changing his focus in comics, and he's giving away or selling all of his books." And have you seen this? And I saw it, and it looked like, and he was saying he wanted to get rid of things in chunks, like big chunks, right? And I was like, oh, the amount of shipping that's going to be and what's going to be involved, that's not going to happen for me. And so I was just like, I just watched the video and was entertained by it. And what it was. Well, about a week later, one of my friends said, "Hey, where is such and such space related to you, to all you guys on the West Coast?" And I was like, "Oh, that's like an hour or two away from me." And I was like, they're like, "That's where that guy is from." And I was like, "Oh no." So I messaged him. I said, "Hey, apparently you're a lot closer to me than I thought. If there's anything left over or that you want to trade for or whatever, let me know." And he's like, "Oh, well, here's where I'm at with that. This is spoken for by so-and-so. This is spoken for by so-and-so. This is spoken for." Everything was already spoken for. And he said, "But I'll let you know if anything changes." Well, the first couple that he sent out, he had some, I'm just gonna say he had some difficulties with people paying for things that they said they were going to pay for. And so he started asking for a little bit up front on things. And then all of a sudden people were like, "Nope, don't want it. Can't, no, this, not." And then also he's like, "This is available. This is available. This is available. This is available." And I was like, "Oh, wow." And so I ended up like getting like a large chunk of his collection, and he was insanely generous. So
yeah, I loved that whole saga. Like that whole time period was a lot of fun. Like we were watching it happen in real time. I mean, he made a video about your trade. You made a video about your trade. It was
so hilarious. Looking for a good time. That was so hilarious.
Because they met, if you didn't see it, they met in a park, and Crom had a sign that said "looking for a good time" that he put up against the window.
Like you couldn't see his face.
I saw you consider it. I mean, there's no shame.
Like, what would you have said if I was like, "Yeah, come on in"?
It's been a long drive.
It was hilarious because Trav and I were like, I'm like, "Who is this guy?" I'm like, "Oh," and he's like hitting up all these other people around the park. He's playing it up all the way around, and I'm like, "Oh no, he's coming over here." And I'm like, "Oh no!" And then he slaps this piece of paper up and says, "Looking for a good time." And then then he says, "Does this mean you won't sign my comic book?" Because he had bought a book that I had drawn, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Crom." I caught the GoPro at the last minute. I saw it sticking out. I'm like, "Oh, it's Crom," but it was hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, coming around the park, I didn't know it was him. It was hilarious. All right, well, Eric, you got a few things you want to show off?
I do have a few things. One of the things I wanted to state is that, like, in the last year, I started doing this whole thing. Just my wife got tired of hearing me talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it to the, the universe. And I started as just like a thing to finish runs, or, I love X-Men, I love Wolverine. This is my outlet, and look what I got type of thing. But through doing it, I discovered, new friends, new avenues to kind of go down, which is kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Like, not, seeing some of the books that other people show. It's like, oh, I kind of want that. I would have never got stuff like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Or because of that, I would have never even looked at Lois Lane and got something like this that has the collection. So,
Amazing.
I mean, I always consider myself a Marvel guy, but this has kind of opened my world a little bit, where I started getting books that I would not normally look at, that was outside of my X-Men or outside of my, I guess you'd call it nostalgia, stuff that I read as a kid.
Are
But
you guys like collecting those, like, for lack of a better word, encephalitis DC books? There's like one with the Flash where he has the giant head. There's like
I
DC did that a lot.
I collect anything that has a really
like-
good body horror
yeah,
transformation.
you like that
on
weird
it.
stuff. And to me, it's just, it cracks me up. I mean,
It's
Bizarro
so
coming
good.
down and he's all turned on by her big bulbous head.
Yeah,
Right.
he knows what he likes. Don't kink
Yeah.
shame.
No
I've
shame.
gotten to the point where whenever I go to shops or shows, I look in the DC section for weird bodies because I want to like put together a little care package for Nate, and I know that like those will hit the spot.
Well, that's the
Right.
thing I started collecting is like I've gotten specific things that I collect. Like I got outside of the superhero stuff and I start collecting. I like my GI Joes. This was a big thing for me this year, was to get the first, Blood here. He was my first GI
Make
Joe
Blood.
toy back in the day, so I
Mhm.
was jazzed about getting that. But I started finding new ways to collect. Like I collect anything that's an animal comic now. A samurai
Right.
penguin. I saw that for $1. I'm like, I need that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Or-
can you show that one more time,
Were
please?
you collecting during that time period, Eric? Were you?
I
were you-
was, but I missed out a lot of this stuff. I wasn't really into the turtles. I think I have one of the ones that I did get, or like this. I just saw this not that long ago, and I didn't know this existed. And I was like, I need that. I need
yes.
a walrus that can do all that stuff.
Is that one kind of a TMNT parody? Like I
all
collect.
these are like TMT,
Yeah,
parodies. There's so
I grab
many of them.
I grab those too.
This was the one that I got back in the day.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Hold
back
on.
to Black Belt Hamsters.
And I used to have this, and I don't know what happened to it from back in the day. My mom probably gave it away.
I bought it today.
Oh my god!
There
I
you
bought
go.
it today
And
for
Do
$1.
Do you have the Clint special too? The which is the Dark Knight
yeah,
homage?
these
Yeah.
are hard to find. And at like the Fan Expo in Chicago, I was lucky to find a dealer that had a big stack of these in one box. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start going through, see which one's nice. I was looking for a first print, is what I was doing. And
You
I
guys
opened this one, and it's signed by the writer and the artist. And I said, okay, I'm
Awesome.
great.
You guys were doing all the indie stuff the other day.
Yeah.
And you were showing, I think, Nate, a bunch of stuff by Aircell, is the publishing group.
Okay.
They had like the Elf
Quest.
Oh, the Elf Trek,
Elf Lord.
Elfwin.
Elf Lord, I think, was one of the ones you showed. Maybe somebody
Okay.
else read it, but there's a lot of good stuff by Aircell back in the day.
This was
Yeah,
my favorite by
Samurai.
them. I
One of
love
the
this
ones that I
series.
wanted to recommend to you guys was a book called Warlock 5, which was amazing. It's a
think I've
Richard
seen that
Corbin
one.
artwork. The covers it's about these 5 different wizards or warlocks from different eras. So you got a necromancer, you've got this punk rock, you've got like a guy that looks like Brainiac, a cyborg, but they're all different. They're the masters of their domain, own individual domains, and they're all trying to like basically control the main plane of existence. It's really good. So you've got these zombies versus robots versus dragons versus. It's amazing.
I've heard of that one before.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask Eric. So first off, just before we started, we were talking about shout outs to channels and stuff. Is there anybody you wanted to shout out?
Well, I think what got me into the community of the comic community YouTubers is I was getting back into it. Like I said, I wanted to fill out my runs, complete them from back in the day, because I still had everything. I've been toting them around for 20 plus years. And I started,
I have that.
I wanted to see what was out there on YouTube because I come from the gaming world. I mean, the last 10 years I was doing tabletop gaming, whether it was D&D, miniatures games was a really big one. And actually, before I started my channel, I think I was still doing, I did a weekly online show where we were covering independent gaming. So I kind of knew that the medium was out there for these hobby type of stuff.
Mhm.
And I went on, just to see what was out there. One of the first ones I stumbled onto was Mike at Lunch Money Comics. And then shortly after I started watching his, I saw Brandon. Like Brandon was doing it for, I think, 3 months at that time. So he was really new. And I mean, of course, I stumbled onto the spec channels and stuff like that, but that wasn't me. I mean, I'm older. I did that whole collecting, chasing thing. I just wanted to have fun, complete runs, read comics, have, see what else is out there. And I went down that rabbit hole of, I missed out on the last 20 years of comic runs. So I started getting that stuff. And I did find some of those channels like Mike and Mon that basically showed me it's okay to get what's fun.
Right.
You don't have to chase those big books. So that was kind of cool, that one. And then slowly it's like I found Ryan, Colossal Collector. I found you, and then you were doing the shout out at that time. And I think
you did one. You were part of my when I was saying that I was going to come back. You're in that video.
Yeah. It was like very, very late to the game, so to say. But yeah, and then I found like John's Comics with Kids and Justin. I started watching their Omni show because it's X-Men, so I'm an X-Men nut that I wanted to like revisit these old comics. So yeah, it's like I slowly kind of got into the community and saw what was out there, and yeah. And then I was like, I reached out to, I think it was John, Justin, even Mike and Brandon, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about this. This is kind of my idea, my angle. And I was hesitant because I was still doing the other channel. And I'm like, do I have time to do a second thing? And they kind of encouraged me. So I just jumped in. And I think without that encouragement and the support and just seeing what other people were doing, I probably would have never done this.
Yeah, like, and anybody out there who's considering doing it, that's what I always said in my hashtag comic book shout out videos. Jump in with both feet. Don't be afraid. What I did when I first started making videos is one of the people that I really thought highly of was Mint Hunter, and I went back to his very first video and I watched it, and I said, hell, I can do that good. You go back and watch. So anybody who's thinking of starting, go back to the first video of a channel that you really like. And
Don't go back to my first video, please.
Go back and watch mine. I was afraid to show my face. All I would show is my hands.
Alan did a video not that long ago that was like tips and tricks of starting a YouTube channel just recently. And I was like, damn it, I wish he did this like a year and a half ago to help me get some direction or encourage me of what to do. I kind of just jumped in. I was trying to figure out my identity for the channel, and I think I found it. I don't know. I'm still trying to push that envelope to make it fun for not just me, but for people watching too. Right.
Right. Oh,
I think shout out a lot of it that my regulars that watch, like Big Nasty and Richard and stuff, that they're there for every video. They're commenting on every video. And it's just that alone is a lot of support to make you feel like you're doing something worthwhile and to keep doing it. So.
Renegade says, I watched my first video and unsubscribed to myself. I love it.
Well, I want to call your guys' night cat and raise you an alley cat.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That's very nice. Very nice.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I started collecting just really oddball things that I don't think in the past I would have. But now that I'm a little bit older, it's like I don't take them as serious. I find more of the fun in them. Like for $1 or $2, what am I losing really? Sliders. Remember that show?
Hell yeah, I remember Sliders.
Great show. I love that show. I watched that show.
And I found all the comics for $1. So I'm like, oh yeah, I need that.
What's his name? Jerry O'Connell?
Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Eric. Because I'm coming up on I'm approaching a critical mass stage of nonsense, and it's my
That's a T-shirt.
it really is like my
Critical mass
biggest
stage of
worry
nonsense.
right now. Like, because I see things like today, I saw radioactive, black belt hamsters, and I was like, I'm getting it. I don't have room for it. I'm literally out of bags and boards. I need to put in another order. But like, at what point am I gonna say, okay, I don't need Crystar, the Crystal
Yes, you do.
Warrior. I mean, you do, because this
Do you
cover
think
is
this goes
amazing.
with Amethyst and
Well, this book sucked. This book
dude,
sucked.
it's a toy tie-in. It's a toy tie-in.
Yeah,
So,
it's
like, a lot
but
of. I almost thought that Amethyst was, but Amethyst isn't, right?
no,
Amethyst
it's not.
is
But
the
this
thing.
should have been, because this is done well, and this is a bunch of toys walking around. It's like the kid that's playing with the toys wrote it. What are we going to do, Lord Feldspar? I don't know, Dr. Diamond. It's bad. But it's got, does have the toy ad in it, which I think is really cool.
See, the
And
toys
this-
were cool.
And I was
Toys
going to
were
say,
great.
Yeah,
this
it was just that time period that in the 80s they thought this cool idea for a cool toy needed a comic. It needed a cartoon.
Well, and
yeah.
that I think that might have been where they got the idea of doing music with it. They were like, well, look, this worked with toys. Maybe we can do it with music. And
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think Stan Lee just said I think he said everything out loud that came into his brain. What if the comics sang?
Throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
I know you're worried about space and stuff, and what are you going to do with some of this stuff?
Yeah, like
it's one of those things that I think a lot of us get to that point where, we don't intend to sell comics, but I think sometimes it's fun to do. That's why a lot of people do it. But also, it's like it's how you make room for new stuff coming in.
Yeah,
you pass it to somebody else that can enjoy it.
I was going to say either you either sell it or you give it to someone else that's going to enjoy it. I don't know. I sent to a bunch of you guys like that. I gave away a bunch of comics to a friend of mine at work. His kids were sick over the holidays, and I was just ecstatic that one of his sons said he wants to become a comic collector.
Yep.
I was just like, and I was like almost inspired to make a video like, when you get a collection, a lot of times people are like, this is what I made off of that collection. I want to say, how many collectors did you make off of that collection?
Yeah. And that's a big thing going into the new year. I've been thinking about is I want to kind of help that movement of introducing comics, the hobby, to younger, to kids, to get them interested in not just, there's so much you get out reading. You can get the art, you can get storytelling, and they are fantastic characters and stuff like that. But you can introduce kids to a new hobby. It's what's going to keep our hobby going and not get stagnant, and introduce new ideas and stuff like that.
I am all for getting kids into comics. I also think though that like the comics that got me into comics were okay for kids. Like a lot of the books that are out there now, like I wouldn't necessarily give to my son, if not because of content, just because of like, I don't know if a kid's like, they're writing books for us. The old books they wrote for kids, but they're writing books for grown adults now, grown adult men who grew up with these characters. It's a different jumping off point.
Right. That's why I had to be really careful with the books that I gave him to give to his kids.
What I have found, I feel like, I'm an elementary, if you don't know, I'm an elementary school teacher, but what I find like actually is the gateway to getting these kids into reading comic books is the things that are made for them, like the Dogman books, the Captain Underpants books, John's comics with kids. You mentioned him. He talked about Jeff. But and a lot of my kids are into manga. There's mangas have all these ranges of the all ages books. So many of the kids at our school are into My Hero Academia, which is like a perfect stepping stone into comic books. So I think getting them into reading and getting them into reading science fiction, fantasy, superhero universe type of things that are at their level, hopefully some of that might translate to them picking up some superhero stuff, some, general comic books later. Christopher Parker says his 7-year-old loves Dogman. My son read through that. I mean, he's got every one of them. He's read through all of them. So
yeah, that's a good point though. And I watched, I don't know if you guys watched, there's a channel called Matt with like 3 T's, like MATTT. He is great about talking about the history of comics and a lot of like more niche indie stuff and a lot of manga stuff. And he had a great one about Jeff Smith and Bone and how he has got so many readers into comics. And it's really great. It's a story about him progressing through the trials and tribulations of being a creator and almost giving up on his dreams, and then forcing his way forward and making it happen. And it's an amazing story. So, and it also talks about like the comic graphic novels and comics, are they dying? And it's like, no, actually there's more sales, but people don't take Scholastic into the graph of sales. If you put those into the graph of sales, comics are astronomically more successful now than they were, but people don't take them into account.
I've not watched that. I know the video you're talking about though. That's in my watch list because it popped up
man,
on my
with
feed.
that guy, I've watched every one of his videos.
Okay.
Amazing stuff. I can't recommend that him enough. I don't know him. I'm gonna, we talk about being part of the community. I don't know him on a personal level in the community, but his stuff is amazing.
Cool. Yeah, but I have a very uninteresting story about Jeff Smith, who I met at Wizard World Chicago in like 1990 something. So Wizard Magazine used to do all the cons. I don't know if they did that. I was going to say, Eric, I bet you and I were at the same ones. I loved Wizard World. The Artist Alley, the creator aspect of it was really good in a way that like more modern cons haven't been, at least around here. But yeah, Jeff Smith was, he was, I think Bone was like on issue 12 or something at that time. Like it wasn't very far out. I had a friend who was into it, and I bought like the first trade and a bunch of issues or something from him and had him sign them. And then he was like, I was a kid. I was probably 17 or 18 years old, but then Jeff Smith wanted to go outside and smoke cigarettes. And I was like, yeah, I'm a rural scumbag, man. I will go smoke some cigarettes with you. So I got to stand outside at Chicago Comic-Con and he was known, but he wasn't like, Bone was not a big book, but I thought it was so like, that was one of my first.
Bone is amazing. It's a great book.
It is so freaking good. I'm supposed to talk about it on my channel at some point, but life keeps getting in the way. Hagen, did you have to give your copy away yet?
I did. My library is moving, and so they're calling all the books that I have back. And yeah, I did have to give it back. So I'm gonna have to go pick it up on through a very legal website. That's what I'm gonna do.
Which copy is it? Like your copy of Bone?
Well, the compendium, like the whole thing.
The big one.
Yeah, he and I were reading it for a book club discussion. But yeah, it's one of my favorite
rat creatures.
Stupid rat creatures. I just love it. Did you read
so
his
great. That part where he jumps off the thing, he's like hanging from the thing. He's like, there's no way they would come down here. We'd all fall and die. And then the rat creatures come and jump down, and they're like, oh no. And he's like, stupid rat creatures.
Did anyone read his other book, Razzle?
I read some of it. It was pretty good.
Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah,
very different, like very adult, and high concept science fiction stuff.
Yeah,
it was so good. Like, I wonder why he hasn't put out more.
Probably because people were expecting more of like the Bone type of a book. Have you read Rose, which is also like it ties into Bone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like his work. He reminds me, and I think he, probably takes a lot of inspiration from the old Disney books, Carl Barks, and Don Rosa. Like it, and a lot of people might have like inspiration from that, but he has the same energy. There's just something magic about the way he writes and draws.
The MATT channel has Carl Barks in there. There's an episode where Nobody knew who he was because they weren't allowed to sign their name.
Right.
Book. And everybody was like, "Who is the duck artist?" And it's amazing. That episode is
All right.
so good.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. Well, I'm gonna jump to my beginning of 2024. What happened to me? The very first book that I picked up in 2024 was with a trade with somebody that you guys are well aware of, our friend Steven Steppo. And we were doing a big trade of books. He was getting a lot of high grade silver and bronze books from me. And we were doing a lot of tabulating and tallying. And
He
at the
doesn't
end of
have
doing all,
any not high grade anything.
right.
He has the prettiest books I've ever seen.
So I'm amazed that sometimes I have books that he doesn't have. We went through and tallied everything up. And then he says, "So what kind of things are you looking for getting this year, Brian?" And I said, "Oh, like I want to focus on like big first appearances and, high grade copies of those first appearances." And he's like, "Well, name off some characters." And I was like, "Oh, like Harley Quinn or Wolverine or those kind of characters." And he reaches in a pile and he goes, "So this is a book that you would want?" And
Son of a bitch.
I was like, "Yeah, that's a book that I would want, but that would not be fair for what."
Every time I see this man show a book, I'm like, son of a.
I said that wouldn't be fair for what we're trading for. And he said, "No, but this is a book that you would like to own." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "It's yours." And I broke down and started crying. I was just like, amazed that he would be that generous to give me a copy of it.
Richard said it's only a 9.8.
Only a 9.8. Yeah, but, no, I was just shocked. So that was the way that my 2024 started for getting
Steven, because Steven tracked down a 9.9 right after. He had one in the sheet.
He owns a copy of her first appearance. That was the only copy he had, I believe. Yeah. And he just was out of the kindness of his heart gave me that copy. So
I am not shocked at all. He is so nice.
So that was how my 2024 started. And Steven, if you're watching, I can't thank you enough. You're super generous. I'll show a couple I'll just show some books that I got from Steven throughout the year. So I kind of have a little stack of those right here. The next book that I got from him was in some trading doing with him a couple months later. And he would let me go through his file copies of stuff, and I would see things that he had more than one copy because I felt bad I didn't want to ask for something that he only had one of. And so he had two of these. So I get a very high grade copy of the very first appearance of the Wasp.
Look at the color on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's in the 9s.
Wow.
It's just an amazing copy of that. So super happy to get that. I mean, and every time we would trade, he's almost never failed to make me cry when we trade.
Mm-hmm.
The next time, the first appearance of Zatanna in a super in the 9s again. Just insane book.
Gorgeous.
Steven would give me missions, things that he was looking for, and I would go out and hunt for them in the wild for him and try to scouring and do my due diligence of getting things for the best deals I could. And then I would bring them back and we would do these trades. So not as big of a book, but a really nice high grade copy of the first US appearance of Captain Britain and also the first appearance of Arcade. So kind of Marvel keeps pushing this character, so a real nice high grade copy of the first appearance of Howard the Duck. And topping things off for first Furry Beast, super high grade copy of that.
I love when people say that.
See my first Furry Beast.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, it's a very cool little stack of books that I was able to get.
Will Howard the Duck ever overcome the stigma of the Howard the Duck movie?
He's not designed to.
By the way, I'm sorry. I think it is a schlock masterpiece. I love a good bad movie, and that is a great bad movie. But yeah, people like it. Speaking of music, Beverly's in a band in the, in the movie. It's
I
so
was like
bad.
13, I think, about when that movie came out, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need volume for this movie.
It was, I mean, the duck boobs, I think, may have been some of the first boobs I saw on film. So that actually, my therapist is going to want to hear that, because that's going to connect some dots.
Howard the Duck is Marty McFly's
because it's still, what's her name? It's not Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
That's okay. Yeah, so good.
It's burned in my brain, Nate.
Does yeah. What was it the other day? People were talking about their 80s crush. I was like, yeah, mine was Jennifer
Connelly.
Yeah. Career opportunities.
The Target movie.
What's that?
The Target movie with her and Frank Whaley? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because she's like stealing underwear. Like she keeps putting underwear on to steal them. And then
since you got there, she got stuck in there after hours.
Yeah, and they hang out. And isn't there something with her on a carrot, like the little, you put a quarter in and ride the horse?
Yeah,
the bad guys are there to rob the Target.
Yeah,
and he's roller skating around, then sees her, then they end up talking, and then the bad guys come in, and then they have them at gunpoint. At one point, she's riding the horse, and the bad guys are fighting over putting the coin in the horse.
That was a great movie. That's one that like I've always remembered, but I don't hear people bring up with the great 80s movies. I thought that was a great one.
Yeah, that is a really good movie.
My 80s crush is Boris Yeltsin.
Boris Yeltsin.
Because you just read history books. To you, it's the distant past.
It's the far-flung past. To you, it's the cherished childhood memories.
Still looking good.
It was in black and white.
Yeah. Megan, did you have some more stuff you wanted to show up?
I'm sure I can figure something out. Talking about Steven really quick. That man, no word of a lie, sent me an AOK that was every single Bronze Age key in the Captain America Volume 1 run. Like every single one. First appearance of John Walker. First appearance of John Walker as Super Patriot. First appearance of John Walker as Cap. First appearance of Team America. Like, it's just... The man's insane. And obviously, like, one of them had a spine tick, and he apologized to me for it. The gall. The unmitigated gall.
Got a spine tick on it, right?
But yeah, so going back to a conversation we had a second ago, this is one of my favorite things that I picked up this year. This is one of those ones. It's Jeff #1. It's one of the ones that I had on my stack. I requested that my LCS pull it for me. And then it was the first thing that I opened when I got home. It's just such like a cute, it's like superheroes at home stories. And I love stuff like that. One of my other favorite, like 2 books that I got was the Batman and Superman Double Date, where they go to a batting cage with Catwoman and Lois Lane.
Right.
I just really like stuff like that. But this is like a $30 or $40 book now, which is crazy to me. It's just absolutely crazy. I just like it because it's cute. It's really adorable. And like I said, going back to that conversation earlier, manga is more popular than comics now for sure. But comic books do have the advantage of, it used to be uncool to know who Iron Man was, and now everybody knows who Rocket Raccoon is. And that's a mark on the future that we haven't even begun to see the effects of, So there's absolutely, like, I don't think the medium's going anywhere. It might look a little different. It might behave differently, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Talking about good stories, I'll show this first. This is Daredevil number 233, which has some of my favorite panels of comic books in it. There's a helicopter that crashed and caused a fire, and the Avengers show up and rescue people and put it out, because we don't see a lot now of superheroes rescuing like human beings or cats out of trees or
Right.
things like that, and it's just something nice to see. But I tried my hand at a like a narration of those comic panels, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But that's a ton of fun, and I like picking up weird stuff. Margaret Thatcher, I mean, she's just unattainable, right? Like that standard of beauty. Like, why would I even torture myself with that?
She's unattainable because she passed away a decade ago, I think. But
Where there's a will, there's anyway. Does anybody have a Ouija board?
I'm asking for a friend.
I'm asking for a friend. Jumping off from that, I like collecting weird stuff and stuff that I've never seen before. So, Eric, you've started to show like the radioactive. I can't remember all of the superlatives, but the Ninja Turtles ripoffs. Yes. I want every single one of those that I see. Every single one without exception.
Okay. Let me find it. I'm gonna rapid fire you here in a minute.
Okay.
I got one other I got from Steven this year. I had to show off.
Very cool.
Is that first Hellboy?
It is first Hellboy.
Yeah.
San Diego Comic Con #2, first Hellboy.
Wow.
Yeah,
first Hellboy
Christopher
that looks
Parker.
like Hellboy. I mean, there's that one Brent Dime Press thing that he doesn't even look like Hellboy, but this actually has pages of comic that have Hellboy in it. Other than there's the Next Men issue that has just like a poster in the background that predates that actually, but which I found in a dollar bin this year, 2 of them.
Wow.
Okay, Hagen, I think I got them all here. I think this is most of the ones I have. I'm gonna rapid fire you.
Go
rapid firing.
So we got Black Belt Hamster, Adolescent Radioactive Black Belt Hamster.
Got it.
Okay, Bushido Blade of Zachariah Walrus.
Need it.
Samurai Penguin.
Need it before I need food.
Fish Police.
Have
that
it.
That was an expensive book for a while back in the day.
Yeah. Hamster Vice, another one that I liked back in the day.
Can't remember if I have it.
Hamster Vice in 3D.
Oh, need it.
3D was
Duckula.
Nope, don't have it.
Renegade Rabbit.
Oh, I remember this
The Good,
one.
the Bad, and the Furry.
That meant something different back then.
Preteen Dirty Jean Kung Fu Kangaroos.
Need it.
I think it was only 3 issues. I need #1. And Power Pachyderm. $5.
I need it.
I'll get it for $5 for the knockoff X-Men. I think there's more downstairs, but that's like the main one. So
I need all of them. And Christopher Parker earlier said that I think the one that he's talking about is geriatric and greenest.
Yeah, that one's it's a really grotesque cover.
It's I have it.
I think if you go on mycomicshop.com and just type in an animal like salamanders, you'll get something.
That's a good point.
Right.
So if you guys ever see this comic book, I will be shocked because I think I have the only copy ever in the world, but it's this.
Joey.
This is Joey in the Magic T-shirt. This is like a PSA book about diabetes. It's made by Nutra Comics. This is VitaCat, and this is Professor Von Bad Health. And I gave my wife not a read through, but like a summary of it, and her mouth just like started dropping open more and more and more.
You actually dedicated
fantastic
brain space to this.
Why wouldn't I? It's amazing. It's
Renegade
amazing.
has it.
Do you? Oh man,
does he really have it?
Cool.
That's awesome.
If he has Joey, you guys have to talk.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We'll have a book club on Joey in the Magic T-shirt, and I'll be the happiest I've ever been.
That's great.
Oh no, he doesn't have Joey in the Magic.
Oh, he has diabetes. We're not happy to hear that.
Hagen is
wow. Ever eat a tree?
Someone clip that. That
I'm sorry. We're not laughing. We're laughing about we thought you were talking about a comic book. We're all like, congrats. And then we're like, oh.
Oh, wait. He didn't get a book. He got diabetes.
Oh,
We're
sorry, buddy.
we're laughing at the misunderstanding, not the disease.
Right. No, that sucks.
Oh, Jason,
but the
you are
misunderstanding was pretty hilarious. Hagen,
Sorry
I
about
think
it,
you
bud.
almost fell over there. We almost had to get you some oxygen.
Almost did, yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Stepo sent me a bunch of stuff. Wait, I have a couple
read
issues.
This is
Captain
Cornelius.
Corn. It's an ear of corn teaching kids about how great
it
corn is.
great.
Because
Okay.
that's what happens when you live in a Midwestern town. I
Yeah, that's
also
something you need,
Hilarious.
Nate.
When
I-
people
well-
ask me what my taste in comic books is, that shit
It's
right there.
Captain
right?
Cornelius.
That shit.
The absurd stuff. I'm gonna make
Give
a
it
pile.
to
I'm just
me.
gonna keep sending you stuff like that.
I'm writing down Captain Cornelius.
Somebody asked me, like, what kind of stuff are you into other than Cap? And the only thing that I could come up with was anything with big metal vehicles on the cover. And if you look at it and think this is too stupid for another human being to want, that's
Yes.
my taste in comic books.
Yes.
I love it. I
So-
love it.
Before I show a book, I would like to recite a poem a friend of mine wrote, because I also come from a small Midwestern town. Our high school had a poetry magazine that the students put out, and I had a friend, and this was his entry, which got chosen, and it was selected, it was printed, and I'll never forget it for as long as I live. And it is called Corn. Corn. Corn, corn, corn. Corn is my friend, friend, friend. So won't you please send me some corn, corn, corn. And people paid money for this. Like, this was a meme before memes, like a personal one. And so people would recite it. So Captain Cornelius sounds like something I have to have. This is something I had to have, and Steven sent it to me. This is the first cameo of Jason Todd and first appearance of Killer Croc.
Killer Croc.
There's nothing. It's perfect. So I'm scared to read it or take it out of here. But it's really cool.
Stepo, love in right now.
Well, I mean, it's a community love in, and
Right,
he's somebody
right.
who we all know. So yeah, I couldn't believe he sent me a whole pile of Batman keys, like, some
Yeah.
minor keys, and then something like that was just insane. And sent me some of his books as well. And then going back to Carl Barks, this was one of my biggest pickups last year.
That's an amazing book. That presents so well, dude.
I mean, now I know I said it in the video, like on the back, there's a tear that goes up like
It's on the
this
back.
and
Yeah.
all the way across.
I'm
But
looking
exactly.
at the front, not the back.
It's on the back. And other than that, it is so perfect. Like,
The
I
white
read
was
it.
so white, Nate.
It's so good. I
an amazing
I can't
book.
believe it. So
No,
that's
there's books like that just make you like a little tear because you're like, when did that happen to the back?
well, and,
like you're
and
like the rest of it, you're like, oh my god, it's a beautiful. Oh, when did that
But-
happen?
even though it had a tear on it, I found it on the floor, in this shop, just in a box where people are flipping through. And I took it to the guy and I was like, you cannot keep this in that box, man.
Right.
And he was like, I got another one.
You're not tagging that kid.
I've got one in better shape. And I just thought, man, and
That
yeah,
doesn't mean. So that's something that I preach to a lot of people. Like, okay, I've got one in better shape, or I got this for so little, or if you have something that is of value, don't cut the value of it short just because you happen to have another one, or you got it for a little. It's still worth something. Like, I have friends that are like, I got it for a song. I'm like, but you should be able to reap the rewards of getting that for a song, not just be like, I got it for a song, so I should give it away for a song. It's like, no, you should reap the rewards of your good fortune.
yeah.
Give it away
not
for a
to say
song
we
and
shouldn't
a
have
half
giveaways
to me.
and give things away to people and everything else, but on the converse side, like, don't just like take it to a shop and give it to them for nothing. Like it's
Right.
like it's a valuable book, you know.
I mean, do they have half price books out where you are, Bigby?
They do. They've gotten weird people that like try to price stuff sometimes, but then I've seen like there's a guy up here that has pulled like a full run of Sandman,
Yeah.
#1 through, or first appearance of the Crow, or you go up there and you'll find crazy stuff. But
people that take like it kills me to see some books there that people have taken, because I know they couldn't have gotten anything for taking the books in.
Oh yeah.
And then sometimes you find some in those, in the bins, and they'll be $2 or $3, and they're, it's a $20 or $30 book.
Right.
Other times there's a lot of flotsam in there too. But
what kills me is the books that have been there so long that they've taken and they've put a price tag on the cover, and I'm like, no, it's a $50 book, but nobody was there quick enough to get it before it had been there 3 weeks and got rotated to the books that got 50-cent tags put right on them.
My local ones have thankfully stopped putting stickers directly on the books, so they're at least like just they mark them down to $1, and that's about it.
How many strongly worded letters from you did that take?
It took. I had to sleep outside 4 different locations.
Right.
I didn't reuse the picket sign either. It was 4 different picket signs.
Yeah, there was one that whoever was doing their pricing was definitely like checking cover price, and they were way too high on so many books.
Right.
But I feel like they've really. I don't know if people are just selling a lot more books to resellers right now, but I feel like I just see a lot more cheap books again. There was a period,
they're at critical mass, Nate. They're at critical mass.
Well, that's why I'm where I am. And I'm like, the problem is not really that I'm buried with books. The problem is, how do I continue to buy books at the rate I'm getting them and still keep them all?
Right.
I'll send you links to storage units in your area.
It's future Nate's problem.
It's becoming, I am becoming future Nate.
Called Spare Bedroom.
There's my Stan Lee title. He becomes future Nate. Behold
the Nate that walks like a man. No, wait.
That's right. Sort of.
All right. Well, was that what you wanted to show, Nate? Are we moving on to Eric?
Yeah. I'll show one more if it's cool.
Okay.
And
sure. Yeah.
because it goes to what you said, Bigby, about appreciating what you get. So like I have wanted a copy of Dazzler's first appearance in Uncanny 130 for many, many years. And so I got this one for $20. It's pretty beat up, and I don't give a crap. Like, I love it. I love that it's beat up. I love that somebody loved this like I do, like I do. So I'm just happy to have it. I don't know that I'll ever upgrade.
Will say, did somebody say John Byrne?
Is this?
That is John Byrne.
Oh, it's John Bernard inside, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's a JRJR cover. But yeah, I do love this cover. But that was one of my favorite.
JRJR was big into the disco scene.
Yeah, he was. He knew how to do it. Everybody's getting dazzled on this cover.
For real, man.
Cyclops, he's holding his temples like, too much.
All right, Eric. Well, I guess we're on to you with
all right. So
some things for the year to show.
Biggest books. I got a couple here. One is actually from today. But the first one I'm going to show has been like it's been a book I've wanted since probably 1984. Okay. So it's been that long of a run for me to find this book ever since I fell in love with this character. And it took me that long to get this damn book. This was probably my biggest get of the year. It was one of those things that I started the channel. I was able to kind of like focus in on this. I have like 4 different reprints of this damn book. Never got my hands on the original until finally I was like, okay, enough goofing around. I'm going to get this dang book. So I actually saved up for this book for like the rainy day. I may come across the deal type of thing. And eventually I did come across the deal. My local store, the owner's dad got this way back in the 2000s. He got it slabbed, as an investment. So it was like, I think within the first 2 years they started doing this. So I knew what I was getting. I knew, the history of the book, and I knew where it was coming from. And I was okay with that because I'm not really a slab guy. So I was okay with getting at this. And like I said, I have tons of reprints that I can read. So I can just stare at that on the shelf all I want.
Well, let me ask you.
Crack
You
it
said
open.
the rainy day thing. I want to ask the group this as a whole. Like, do you guys have a target book or anything like that you are looking for, or do you save up for a specific book? Or like my personal theory is whatever the nets will catch, whatever comes my way that is in my interest, that's what I get. But some people are like, I am going for Hulk 181. That is the book. So
I used to do that, Brian. I used to do where it was, if a book of my interest, the series and characters I like come across my way, I'll buy it. But it got to where it was like I was getting too much and they started feeling a little empty. So I started narrowing a little bit more of like I'm making a list in my head, or just narrowing the list of wants. And it's like, well, if I come across these 10, well, then I'll get them instead of anything that I find. And it helped me budget a little bit. And, because a lot of times I was coming across these big books and it's like, oh, I really want that. I can't afford that right now. So I reined it in a little bit, and it helped me get books like this, or my Ghost Rider 1 that I just got a couple weeks ago. And they're still in my range. It's just, I'm just kind of narrowing it a little bit. I'm not going so crazy.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's like, I have a list of books that I'm specifically, that are things that I'm looking for, first appearances of certain characters, but like I'm not specifically looking for any one individual one of those. Like I have 25 or 30 different books that are like, those are things I would really like to get,
Yeah, I used a CLZ app, and I actually have in there like a wish list that I made out. And I have all these books that it's like, yeah, I want that one. I want that one. So like a lot of times, like you guys write down books you see on streams. I go in here and I just add them to my list of, I want to find that. So when I'm at stores or cons, I'll open up that list and just kind of scroll through it and see if there's anything that, I rate them. I want this one more than that one. So, yep. See?
Yeah, there you go. So,
it
I
helps keep you focused.
had like a video that had a bunch of, and some of them are ridiculous books that like AF-15 and stuff, but they're books that I would like to own someday.
Still want them on that list. Yeah,
I want them on my list that, hey, if I ever have a chance to acquire, and there'll be an example of that this year of some books that I never thought I would have a chance of getting this year, but they happened to come my way.
I have Cap 1 on this list. Like there are no rules with it.
I have X-Men on my mind too. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was. So you have a list where you have things like Cap 1 and things like that, right? So like anything that.
Well, the thing is that like I use it more like what Eric says. Like I'll add geriatric gerbils on here. I'll add things that I see other people show off that I would like to like keep my eye out for, just so I keep the cover fresh in my head. But I was liberated from the I have one book that I'm going for, and I was liberated by picking this up. Nate, you got your X-Men 130. Eric, you got Hulk 181, the second appearance of Wolverine, and I got this, which is in fairness, Eric, this is much less of a key than
that's like what
the second appearance of Wolverine.
Or something appearance of Captain America.
Yeah.
Make you happy.
There you go.
There you go.
That's one of my favorite like nerdisms to do, because like who gives a shit? Like
I just
if you like the book, you like the book, you know.
Well, the one that gets me is as ASM 299. That well, like Farland says that's the first appearance of Venom.
This is not the first appearance of Cap. It's not the first appearance of the Avengers. There's not a first appearance in this book. It's the return of Cap in the Silver Age, except not really, kinda. But it's the book.
What do you mean by not really? Please explain.
Well, there was the story with the acrobat dressed as Cap before that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you have that one?
I don't, because it's another expensive one, and I wanted to go for that one.
Not that expensive. It's not like Avengers 4 expensive.
No. But I don't have that one. There's I don't think he showed up in Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos before that. I think it was just that Acrobat book. But
yeah, no, he shows up in Sergeant Fury. Like I think that's like his third appearance in the Silver Age, the Sergeant Fury cover.
Well, my point being that like that's not the first appearance of that character. The first appearance of that character is a much larger book than that, but
Right.
it's the one that I can somewhat afford, and the one that I want. But like,
I mean, it's a very important book in the annals of comic history, like because they were going back to that history of Marvel Comics and making it part of. They were basically giving themselves a pedigree of a history like DC, saying, "Hey, we've got provenance going all the way back to the Golden Age."
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have it in my. I was raised by a father who used to be Catholic, so I have it in me to downplay every accomplishment that I have. But no, I love that thing so much.
Have you guys seen that comedy thing on Instagram where it's the scene with Daredevil and Kingpin, but he's like, a line was crossed, and then he's like, "You killed someone, didn't you?" He's like, "No." He's like, "She-Hulk, she just crushed my pelvis. I can't do it anymore. I can't do
the walk of shame in She-Hulk was really funny." But yeah, like that's I forgot to mention that book in my round because it was up on my wall. I didn't have it in my rotation, but I have to talk about it every time I can. So
yeah.
So Nate, I wanted you. So we've kind of talked about from everybody else. What's your take on like list of books or ways that you look for things?
I have a list. I have a CLZ app too that I throw a lot of stuff on, and I've got first appearance of Legion of Superheroes. I've got Showcase 4 on there. I've got big ridiculous out of reach books because I also have hope in my heart. But mostly like when I go, because I don't have a ton, I do now, but like when I really started, again, looking for these DC Silver Age books, I really started mostly with Superman and adventure and action. And because I didn't have many, like I would come across them and you'd be able to get them, so cheap. So, I mean, I'm just somebody who, if I see something, I grab it. And if it catches my interest and I want to read it, because that is like first and foremost, I love these books, but I love to read. And even the silly, ridiculous ones, like I can't wait to read them. And I have more to read than I'll ever get through. But that's, to me, there's a comfort in that. There are a couple of books like that I do hold in my head that like, if I saw that for the right price, one of which being Lois Lane #1, because Lois is one of my favorite books to collect right now. But also because that cover, like it's Superman, Lois is dressed as a witch. It's so ridiculous. And it's not a book that goes for stupid money. I have seen it for a price I'd be willing to pay before. It's just I've at that point I wasn't willing to pay it. So like,
did you see the short that I did where it had the showcase books? Did you see
yes,
that?
Yes.
There's two Lois Lane in there. There were the tryout book for Lois Lane.
Yes, her first solo title was in Showcase. There were 2 of them, and those are really pricey. But Lois Lane #1 itself, I've seen for $300 to $500, which I don't think is
that's not
horrible for what that book is.
Attainable.
But I'm not somebody who spends, I balk at $100. I am a dollar bin diver. And so like, even though that's not stupid money for comic books, when I see big books, I don't know. I struggle with it's so stupid because I bet I've spent thousands of dollars on these dollar books, right? Like if I just wouldn't buy all this crap, then I could have those. But to me, it's just different because I am buying all this crap because I freaking love it.
But it's the enjoyment, right? It's the enjoyment that you're getting out of the dollar book, right?
This is this for $1 that I can read and enjoy. Joey, those things that we talk about to me is worth more than, especially Lois Lane, like in a slab. If I get it, I want to be able to read it. Yes.
There you go, Nate.
Yes.
I'm guilty of art on covers. I love art. Being, I went to art school and stuff. I see good art that makes me laugh. I'm going to buy it because it just that moment right there of laughing, that's worth it to me.
I'm guilty of liking the part of the comic book that I can see first.
So Eric, do you still draw or produce art?
I haven't in a long time. I sketch every once in a while.
I would love to see some of your sketches sometime. I mean, even in a private message on Instagram or something. I love.
You know what? I can send you a link to one of my Facebook folders that I have a lot of my art on there that I've done. It's actually a resolution I want to do this year. I actually got from Travis this week. Let me see if I can find them real quick. I got a bunch of blank covers from Travis.
Oh, very cool.
Because it's something that I want. I kind of think that it's something that will get me to start going again, get those juices going. Doing this stuff.
We say books that people have given us, books that people have given you that they've drawn on, whether they be stick figure or whatever. That's something that they put the time and effort into, and that's special.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it is. That's cool.
So it's something I want to get back into. It's a part of me. It was so much of my soul and relaxing and stuff that I kind of it drifted away because I didn't have time. Is a lot of it. So it's something I'd like to get back into. Because that's all it's always been for me is the artwork. So
very cool.
Bigby, I had did a video about at the end of the year, kind of like a year-end wrap-up and things, and I had made a lot of notes to myself about like 2025 goals because we're kind of talking about this, and I didn't put down any books as a goal. My goals are to read more of the books that I have, which I've been reading like crazy, and it's just I can't keep up, which is again kind of a good feeling to know that like I've always got something to go to next. To reduce the things like you said, Eric, there's things I think I'm not going to read this again, and I've read it, I've enjoyed it. It's time for this to go to somebody else. And to just continue having fun. Like if I see a book that makes me giggle, I want to get it. Like, I just don't want to have to limit myself to say, I'm completing this run. Yeah, I want to complete my Dazzler run this year, but I'm not killing myself to do it. And I do kind of, I kind of set a goal for myself too, especially with runs. I think Eric does this too. I don't like to order them online. I want to find them.
I want to find them.
I like to get them in person. Yeah.
That's why it took me so long to finish my Wolverine quest. I wanted to find them in the wild.
Right.
And it took me over a year to finish off that quest that I set for myself years ago to get back in when I got back into it. So
that's it. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel like that. I don't know what that is. Like the books would still be there, but it's more.
It's the hunt. It's the thrill of the hunt.
It's more satisfactory to
find it.
So I want to ask you guys a quick question related to what you just said. So are there resolutions or things regarding comics that you guys have made this year for your collections? And the same thing you just said, do you prefer? You guys have already just said you prefer. So Hagen, are you in-person kind of guy, or do you care if you get them online?
I'm an in-person kind of guy for sure.
Right.
Just I like being able to hold them.
There's a story then, right? You have a memory or yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why somebody said that one time about like, do you think digital will ever replace? I said, there's nothing that's going to replace that smell of the books.
I tried digital. I hated it.
No, we've had books for almost as long as we've had writing. So I think that it's always going to be. I think that it's always going to be a thing that we have as human beings. But no, so I am definitely an in-person person.
Mm-hmm.
And like as far as goals for the year, I'm gonna finish Cat Volume 1 or Cry Trying. Because the next goal that I have is like there's so many different kinds of books out there. There are so many different things that I see on like the Friday shows that I'm on that I'm like, I love them. want that. That's gorgeous art. The story sounds amazing. This, that, and the other. And I want to vary it out a little bit. It's not going to be like big expensive stuff. Like I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking to have like variety. And just, dopamine, I guess. But like I don't have a goal book this year. I'm just, like you said, whatever comes into the net, like that's what I'm going for. Nate and I are probably going to be shoulder to shoulder looking through bins at some point in time this year, and like those books that we find together, or like books that I hand him or books that he hands me, like that's the kind of stuff that I want to get, like whatever that happens to be,
Some of the stuff I'll show a little later is like that kind of stuff where at Terrificon, where I was with Mon Comics when I bought it, or I was with Mr. Akins, or I got from Mr. Akins.
Makes that book all that more special, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep,
Very cool.
So, any other things that new resolutions that you have for your collecting, Nate?
No, I mean, like I said, I just want to continue having, like, I have to have fun at this. I think when I dropped off collecting, there's never been a time I haven't been picking up books, but like, I've definitely been a lot heavier, I'd say, the last 2 and 3 years. Well, I mean, like all of us probably, COVID, it just kind of drove everybody into hobbies. But I mean, even before then, like if I was at a flea market, if I was at a garage sale, if I came across comics, I'd dig through them and I'd pick a few up. But yeah, I mean, I just want to continue to have fun. And really, when it comes to, comic books, I just want to continue this network of people and conversations. And I don't know. I mean, it's a blast. Like I'm trying to teach all day, but I got messages from Hagen or Eric about something ridiculous. Right. And so, I sneak for a second to take a look at it. I don't know, man. As long as it's fun, I'm into this, and that's my goal, is to just keep it fun. And I'm so, like, you guys had Terrificon, and I was so jealous of all the videos I was watching. I mean, not in like a negative way, just like I knew what you guys were getting out of it, and so that's
dude. Literally, people were crying at the end, saying like, I've met my brothers for the first time.
Right.
Like it was.
I'm jazzed for Heroes Con for the same reason. There's just a lot of people going that I know, and I'm excited to see people in person, and not through the computer. And like Hagen said, man, shoulder to shoulder. And do you need this, Jimmy Olsen? Yeah, I do, because it came from you.
You bet your ass I do.
Right. Absolutely. Eric, any resolutions for you for this year?
Well, I did. I think one of my last videos was I did a review of my 2024 goals and how I did and stuff like that. And I actually really sat down and thought about what my goals were going to be for the next year, because I wanted to kind of really buckle down and not go crazy and buy everything. Even though you see stuff like this, you kind of need it.
Ooh, that's a good book, though.
Yeah, this is starting me down a rabbit hole of I need all the Space Ghosts now. It's nostalgia for me. I grew up with Space Ghosts, so I of course need it. But
my favorite from that is Herculoids. My favorite from that jump.
Yeah, one's coming up. I think end of this month or next month. I think they're doing a series for them. So
yeah, I want to get their first appearance. Would be nice to get. It's like one of those multi-character books. But.
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera ones. I seen some of those, but in really rough shape. So yeah, that's a new quest. I'm trying to rein it in. I really thought about what my goals were, and I did release a video for this, and I actually wrote down my list of stuff. So I think last year I got a little bit overzealous with my goals. Like, I mean, the Hulk 181 was the big one on the list, and I was lucky enough to get it. But some of the other ones were X-Men 1. Giant size X-Men never happened, and some of that I think
never say never.
I'm keeping them on the list, but I think it was I had big eyes thinking, oh, I'm going to find this no problem. I saw it, but not for the price that I was willing to spend. So it's next on the list. I think for saving up for that makes it a little bit easier, or even like recycling some of the books that I'm ready to let go and put them towards that, do a trade or sell them and put that money towards that type of thing. So that's kind of a long-term goal, I think. But real quick,
I saw like 4 times last year people found giant size.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, damn it.
Giant size in the wild for $1 or $2,
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's an ongoing thing, but I'll run through my list real quick. I like finishing runs, and I worked on 3 or 4 in the last year, and I got them all done, but man, was that rough being an in-person guy. But I want to finish my Tomb of Dracula. That's one of the ones I want to do. I got all the big ones. I just need run fillers. I need like 11, and then it's done.
I might be able to help you out with that. You have to hit me up with your list.
Okay. Submariner #1. I've always loved Namor. Sorry, Hagen. I've always loved. I need that's on my list.
We could talk for sure.
That one I want to get Marvel Spotlight #5. First appearance of Ghost Rider was on my list last year, but his volume 1 was one of my things I was trying to complete, and I got so close to it towards like midway of the year, I did a pivot, and I was okay with that pivot because I was seeing it, but I was finding them slabbed. They were over $1,000. I'm just like, I want a raw one that I can read and enjoy. So that one's going to carry over to this year. And then some of the other ones, Detective Comics 359, I'd love to get first Batgirl. I've got reprints of it, but I want an actual copy of it. I've come across it a couple times and just either missed out on bidding, or it was just a little bit too rough for my liking. Conan #1's high on the list. I have reprints. I need to replace it. That's a run that I'm working on. Also, I'm almost done with that whole run. And then I actually just completed my #1. It's kind of a slash one. Aquaman 29 and or 35. Well, I just got 35 Thursday. So
29 and 35 are what keys?
First Black Manta, first Ocean Master.
So which one did you
get? I got Black Manta Thursday. So that was
29, right?
35.
Manta's first, right?
Actually, no, he's not.
Oh, Ocean Master's first.
Yeah, Ocean Master's first. So
I have a first Ocean Master. We can talk on that too.
Okay. Bigby's
y'all are going to be talking a lot.
Yeah.
I'll
I also have a Conan #1 I might be willing to part with. So, Crom is in the chat. Crom, you got to watch the replay. There was a big love fest for you earlier.
Yeah, there was.
We were talking
he
about
just messaged me
shouting out channels that we were very appreciative of.
Yeah, we were shouting out all over our, chests, lower backs, and upper tummies. So.
But yeah, like Nate said, I want to continue having fun with getting fun books. And one of the things that I really stress about myself as a collector is I don't care about grade. I don't care about, chasing that investment book. What am I going to do with it at this point in my life? Yes, I'd like a nice presenting copy. I don't want it falling apart, but
this one's a little lower grade but we can talk.
So, that's how I've always been the last couple of years. I used to be that way. And I still have a lot of those books when I was that way, but I was younger too. I was thinking in the 90s that, oh man, I'm going to make millions. I'm going to retire on these books.
Mm-hmm.
We all did.
I wish I had followed my brain in the 80s. Because I was also into sports cards when I was a kid. And I was like, when the big rookie thing started going on with cards, I was like, man, I wonder if the rookie thing for comics is going to be a thing. The first appearances. And I wish I had followed that train of thought more and invested more in that instead of just being like, I got to get all the brand new issues instead of going back and getting back issue keys. But
yeah, I wish I would have got more than one of these.
Right.
Yes. Right.
But I got a gazillion X-Men #1s.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I got one of each cover and 2 of the gatefold.
Oh, I was back in the day. Well, I've always been a hustler, so I ordered, I think, basically a long box of X-Men #1 back in the day.
Don't tell Cheddar that. He'll go
I-
nuts. He'll start.
I don't
drooling.
still have them, but yeah. And actually, the shop that I ordered them from went out of business before I got them. I pre-ordered them. I paid for them ahead of time and didn't get my money back
Oh,
for like 5 years. But then I tracked the guy down at a show, and I was like, "Hey, I paid you for those X-Men. I still have the receipt." And he was like, "Oh, well, let's get you some back issues."
Wow.
Hagen wanted to get a lower back tattoo. What's this? Shouting out Crom.
Yeah. Yeah. We just say things here. Don't worry about it.
Hey, gentlemen, I am gonna have to hop off.
You got a dip? Okay.
I got a
Well, I
dip.
appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Hey, man, thanks for putting this together. This
yeah.
came together very quickly, and that's awesome. I love spontaneity.
Well,
so-
anybody else that wants to join in, they're welcome to do so. But thank you for being here, Nate. Appreciate it.
Again,
And I have no timetable on this. So Hagen, though, but when you're tired and need a dip, let me know. And Eric, same thing. But anybody that wants to join in, hit us up.
Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to you guys. I'll talk to you all soon. All right.
All right, now's the time to talk crap about Nate. Oh,
Yeah,
he's still here.
Do it. No, do it.
To be honest with you, Bigby, I'm kind of sort of getting to that point. I'm
You getting to that point? Okay. All right.
I'm not as young as I was yesterday.
You guys
Well,
are,
none
an
of
hour
us are.
ahead
None
of
of us
me,
are.
and
Yeah,
That's true.
it's getting to 11 p.m. here. I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin, I think.
Well, that would be something to watch. I mean, watch you turn into a pumpkin would be awesome.
monetize it for sure.
there you go.
But yeah, I mean, like, thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I appreciate you
I've
guys.
had a ton of
I just
fun.
wanted to pick you guys' brains about where you're going for this year, like some of the stuff you got that were great for last year. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and people say it all the time, like, oh, if there's anytime you want to go ahead and ask, but no, like, seriously, anytime you want to hang out, let me know, and we can
For sure.
we can hop on.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See you later.
Yeah.
Hagen.
Bye, everybody in chat. Love you.
That's the nice thing with modern technology. It's easy to just jump on here and talk to your friends across the.
That is the best thing for sure. Yeah,
I mean, that was one nice thing with COVID. Is that this kind of thing happened.
Right. Well, I wanted to say a couple things about like my goals for this year.
Okay.
So like one of my big goals is productivity and organization. So I want to be like more productive with my collection, getting more organized. And so when I say productivity, I want to be able to do more of that, making the hobby fund itself kind of thing. Because like I said, I used to be way more of a hustler than I am now. But you know, like Hagen said, I'm not as young today as I was yesterday. So that's one of my big things. And then making the most of my opportunities. Like a lot of times, like people like just like we were just saying, like, hey, we need to talk. And like, or people will get halfway through the negotiations of things we'll be interested in doing a trade, and then I just let it fall off the table, or
Kind of fizzles.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, whatever happened with that? Or like you were just saying, like Marvel Spotlight 5. I have a negotiation that's halfway in the works for a Marvel Spotlight 5, but I just never finished it. Like I have a stack of books that are basically the trade's pretty much done. We just never did it.
Okay.
So it's like, I just need to do a better job of like pulling the trigger on those kind of things. So I got some people that are. Mr. Akins said he's headed home. I think he's watching from a different location. So be safe,
okay.
Mr. Akins. But yeah, so I had a couple more things I want to show. Do you have other stuff you want to show?
I always have piles around me, so I can
Okay,
easily.
well, we can
reach
hang out
something.
for a while and talk to each other. And if anybody else, you can hit me up on Instagram if anybody wants the link, or I can post the link in the chat if people want to join in. I will just do that. How's that? There's the link in the chat. If anybody wants to join in, feel free. But yeah, so Son of Crom. I want to go kind of. I'll go by date. So like SummerCon this year, I got to hang out with Bronze Age Nerd, and I got to meet Frank Cho and get a book signed by him.
Oh,
and
man, you got one of those
sketch on the
signed,
cover for me. So that was really cool. Just incredible memories there. And one of my first times of really getting to really work with Chris, Bronze Age Nerd.
Okay.
And then let's see here. Travis. Well, that's gonna be anticlimactic if I Travis this stuff first. We'll do Terrificon. Got to go and hang out with a bunch of my friends there. So I picked up a bunch of great books there. So first Falcon, first X-23.
I need a regular version of that NYX. I have the reprint version of that collects both of them.
Right. The must-haves one, or the what is it called? The director's cut. Is that what it's called?
Is it True Believers?
The True Believers. Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. And then got to meet Mr. Akins and picked this up from him. So that was awesome.
Okay.
9.8 copy of that. So that was amazing. Picked up, talking about indie books. One of the most important indie books out there.
I never, ever see that in the wild.
Right. I saw it there. I was like, oh, okay. Snarfing that up. That's like something.
Yeah. I mean, I
remember
Marvel,
seeing this a lot back in the day, but
yeah, when Marvel did that series for ElfQuest, I see that all the time, but I never see the original.
Yeah, Fantasy Quarterly. This was there's a great video out there about Wendy and Richard Pini and how they basically are responsible for the independent market being what it was, showing how a book could be successful apart from Marvel and DC. So, but this was published by someone else other than them. They had to get the rights and the art back from this because the person did them wrong. So, but this is kind of a rarity out there to get. Like, I mean, it's hard to find a nice copy of that. So I was happy to get a copy of that. Speaking of more indie stuff, pick that up. I still have the price tag on the back. First appearance of the Rocketeer, Dave Stevens. So
should just flip that, right?
Yeah, just put that on flip it in the case, right? It's a 9.6 copy of that for $100, and at the end, I was able to haggle the price down from that even. So, a great deal on that. Picked these two books up with Mon Comics that same day. So first ongoing self-titled Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Everybody who's looked at that, like, they think that's like way above a 7.5 that needs a clean and a press, I guess. But it looks really sharp. I had Jeff from Comic Spot looked at it and he was like, I don't see anything wrong with that book.
Wow.
Or no, it wasn't that one. I'm sorry. It's this one. This is the one that he said he didn't see anything wring with. It's this one.
Oh, wow. 7.5.
Yeah. And but he said, looking at it, he's like, it always looks different outside the case. But he's like, looking through the case, he's like, this thing, I don't see any reason why I couldn't bump that up to like, probably a 9.
Wow.
Yeah. And I picked this up from Very Gary.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got those two with Mon Comics. And then also at that show, I was able to pick up.
That's on my list. That's on my side list this year.
Right.
I need that one. And for my Wolverine, type stuff, I need that.
Yeah. First prototype of Wolverine. Hey, we have a guest in the back room here too. Speak of the devil. And he shall appear.
What's up?
Are you looking for a good time?
I just came to show off my T-shirt.
There you go.
Always.
Welcome, buddy. See, as we're just talking about things that we picked up in the last year and, goals. And you've been here. You said you've been in the background listening.
Yeah, I've been listening in the background. I just did a video.
Imagine that. You did a video? Your production schedule on videos has been like way above mine lately. You're putting stuff out on the regular. Are you still there? Crom?
Just froze
my
up.
voice is an echo.
Okay, I don't hear you echoing at all.
No, because right now I'm talking, but I don't hear it on your video for like.
There probably is a little bit of a delay.
Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Do you hear anything, Eric? Any kind of a lag on him?
There's a little bit of a lag.
Oh, okay.
Let me go out and come back in.
Okay, sounds good. So, Eric, did you have some stuff that you wanted to show?
Let's see. Stuff that I got this year. Most of it's behind me.
It could be things you got this year, or early things you've got, or things you got last year, or early things you've gotten this year, like things that you're.
One of the things I think that I don't remember if I even featured. I mean, I showed this one. real briefly. This was a
really
big
cool.
one for me, Space Ghost. Growing up, I loved Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo, Herculoids, like you mentioned and stuff. So when I kind of more or less figured out what his first appearance was, I kind of hunted this book down, and luckily I found it in person, and the dealer I knew, so he gave me a good deal on it. I think I paid $100 for this.
Wow.
And I mean, yeah, it's a little beat for a book of that age, though. It presents really
it's a nice
good.
book.
So I'm happy with
great.
it.
The colors look great.
Yeah, I love that character more than I love watching the Super Friends back in the 60s, 70s. I love Space Ghost. That's an awesome book.
Yeah, and I mean, it started me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I'm starting to chase all the Gold Key Hanna-Barbera superheroes. I think the other one I have, it's this one, is this series. It was a short series, but it featured all the superheroes from Hanna-Barbera.
Isn't that the one that has the Herculoids in it? Is it a different issue?
Yeah, I think it's this series that has the Herculoids in it.
Yeah.
A little bit later in it. So I've been chasing those ones. I've even been chasing some of the modern ones of Space Ghost. I've been reading the newest series. But then it's like I'm always finding, well, DC did a series in the early 2000s. So I'm chasing those now. And, I'm trying to find those mashup ones. Future Quest is a series they did where they put them all together. And I love that series. You got Johnny Quest in there and Birdman.
I love Johnny Quest back in the day. That was like so different from all the other cartoons.
Yeah.
Like it was so much more reality. I mean, reality based, but I mean, it was, than the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The art looked amazing. I used to think of it as, I say, wow, they have like Marvel art.
Right.
No thing against DC, but DC was still, late into the 70s was still Kurt Swan on Superman. And Kurt Swan looks great for 1950s, 60s, but for my eyes, Marvel just looked more realistic. The drawing did. So Johnny Quest looks so realistic. That's another cartoon that I miss, him and Haji.
Yeah. No, I love, and that early Johnny Quest run that they did from who was it from?
Comico? That one?
Comico, yeah. The Comico Johnny Quest run. That was really cool.
Yeah, I've managed to pick up a couple of those ones that like Dave Stevens did a cover or two for.
Do you have that one?
I have. Yeah, I have the one
kind of got at the corner with the bullets going off the corner or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a nice
I managed to find a pretty good deal on it, so it wasn't like crazy expensive. It was a little lower grade, and I'm okay with that. I can still look at it and read through it and enjoy it.
You have a comic trying to take a dive off the back corner there behind you.
Do I? Oh,
I just wanted to warn you. I don't want it to like take a dive on you.
There we go.
There we go. I feel terrible if it fell.
Some of the books that I besides all like my Grail and Gold ones that I got in the back there, I grabbed a couple. Some of my big ones that I got. This was one later in the year I got. I love this series. Witching Hour.
Yeah, that's
a
beautiful
cover.
I
actually finally found number one. I love this cover of the witch looking down of her next victim in the little spotlight. I love the art from this time period and the horror.
Is that Neil Adams on that cover?
I do believe it is.
I know Neil Adams and Bernie Wrightson did a lot of stuff for that book. So
yeah, this one. What were some of the other ones they did? Ghost. I like that series from back in the 70s. All the 70s horror that DC did. I love the covers.
House of Mystery and
House of yeah.
What's the other one? House of Mystery and just what's the one I'm thinking of? There's two
Haunted
of them.
House.
There's
something like that.
The two brothers that later on they're in the Sandman series because they both, the one runs the House of Mystery, the other one runs the.
Yeah.
Hey, we got another person backstage. Jason,
what's
up?
Hey guys.
Hey, that's a great book, Eric.
This was a big book that I found. I was shocked that I found it raw and in the wild. Same dealer I got that Space Ghost from. He had this one, and he actually held it for me like for 2 months till the time I could save up for it, and he gave me a deal on it too. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I worked up this relationship with some of these dealers at these small cons that I go to because I buy a lot from them or I see them enough that, I strike up the conversation. We start talking about stuff we were into back in the day. And yeah, it pays off to make connections, I guess.
For sure. Never a bad thing to make connections.
And then this was another big one. I started getting, I'm not a slab guy, but I will, like, I have a Roy Thomas Red Sonja slabbed up there. I got it as like, I wanted to preserve the autograph, right?
Right.
So I kind of got on that kick for a while where I was trying to find books that were signed and either slabbed or had, a certificate or something like that of artists that, I grew up appreciating. And this one I watched forever on eBay. So it's double signed by JR and his dad.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, this was a book I clicked that little heart button on eBay forever and just watched it. And nobody it sat on there forever. And I forgot about the book. And also I got a notification that they offered me 50% off of what their price was. And
oh, wow.
I had to jump on it.
Yeah.
And it does come, I think it's in there, but it has their certificate from, when they signed it and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't know if I'll ever slab it just because I kind of like having it raw,
Right.
So yeah, I got this. And I got a couple other books like from Travis. I bought Lobo #1 signed by Simon Beasley. And I think I got some Jim Lee ones that are slab that I got signed. So
those are great.
It's one of those things that it's like I wanted to preserve them, or I wanted that little piece of something that inspired me to read comics and collect them. So those are some of my big ones I think I got this year.
That's cool. Okay, well, now that we got some new blood in the stream, I want to ask these guys some of the questions we asked the other guys, like any of your guys' things that you learned in this last year, the goals that you have going forward, and do you have like specific books you're looking for, or do you guys just go for whatever the nets will catch?
Well, I'll start real quick because I have to get off in about 10 minutes because I have my diabetes. You have to eat at certain times, or you get like lightheaded. And I'm feeling a little wheezy now in my brain. So
I get you.
I don't like slabs either, like Eric, but I've been collecting nothing but slabs because I'm starting to think, as I get older, it's going to be hard for my kids or whoever gets my books to get the best price for them. Especially if it's something they're just buying the whole collection or whatever, or if they try to sell them at auction, they're not going to get as good a price unless it has plastic coffin around it, right?
Right.
So normally I'm just buying slabs. And so I'm doing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. I think I just let everyone know I'm doing the Hulk for my wife. And then I've got a character that I'm editing right now while we're talking. It's uploading still to YouTube.
The secret.
That I'll put out
also doing Batman, right? And Batman as well.
Yeah, Batman I've stopped though because I think I mentioned it in one of my videos. I want to buy books that I personally either bought or loved reading as a kid.
Okay, so you've changed that angle. Before you were looking at, you wanted to get like books that were bigger books that were harder to attain.
Yeah. So I'm like Eric. You know how you mentioned during this whole show that you've kind of changed your paths. And then you have side streets you go down. Oh, I'm the same way. But the more I hear about, buy what you like. It just, at first I was just listening to it, blah, blah, blah. And now it's starting to sink in like, yeah, that makes sense. Cause that's what I enjoy. I think about what book did I really want to get as a kid that I probably could have got years ago. Financially I could have afforded it, but I didn't get it till like a month ago. And that was Strange Tales 89. I always loved Ben Fang Foon's first appearance. Because I found that Where Monsters Dwell, number 23, I think, as a kid. I didn't know it was a reprint, but I loved that story because I was a Godzilla fan. That was what was on the weekends, black and white one or King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm like, this is a comic book Godzilla. I love this character. So, so Spider-Man, Hulk, and Fantastic Four, I'm just buying nothing but slabs for my kids to be able to sell better. And I've started to think like, I want to try to slab something one time since I'm not buying raw books. So I went on to, I think, is it Mint Hunter Comics who has the claim sales on Sunday?
Yeah.
That's his name. So he seems to be pretty good at grading. He's not trying to shyster people. So sometimes he puts people up there and he has like cheap days. So I waited for a cheap day to try to find some Spider-Man books. So I did get some that he said that he was going to slab. And now that I got them, I would agree they are pretty darn good quality one.
Slab-worthy, right?
So I don't know if the light. There you go. Is that
Oh
better?
yeah, no, we can see that one. That's a great book too.
Okay, that one.
That's the key significance of that book where that's the book where Venom decides that Spider-Man needs to live because he couldn't rescue. There was like people that were in danger and he had to rescue somebody and Spider-Man had to rescue somebody. He said, if Spider-Man dies, then the innocent suffer. So he had to go to San Francisco and Spider-Man stayed in New York.
Yeah, I remember buying this off the shelf. I was not a kid anymore, of course, but I was buying Spider-Man during this time when McFarlane started again. That's what kind of brought me back in because I'm like, what the heck? This is like Ditko on steroids.
Right.
Some people don't like the Todd father, so to speak, who's from Puyallup, Washington, by the way. You know, how can you not like someone from where you're living? But I loved his. And then when Eric Larson took over, I wasn't a huge fan as much, but I said, well, he's at least trying to do it. It's like he's trying to copy the movements and the angles of Todd McFarlane. So I kept reading it for a while, and I don't know what happened, but something in my life, divorce or something, is a reason why I stopped collecting back in '93. So I got this one as well.
That's a great book. Yeah.
Between 1 and 441 are the ones I'm slabbing. I got that one. And then the last one I got for Spider-Man is this one. So these are the three I'm going to slab. This hologram one thingy. And then speaking of Fing Fang Foom, I said, wouldn't it be fun? And everyone always says, like, why do people slab stuff that's a dollar bin book? Why do I slab it? I'm like, well, I want to do it because I think it'd be silly but fun. And I can afford, $50 to do a couple books or $100 to do 4 books. So being a big Fin Fang Foom fan, I waited till I could get a near mint copy of this one.
Oh, nice.
Which is his close-up. That's his passport photo, by the way.
Right.
And then, of course, like the one I gave Mon Comics, I sent him these 2 comics, and I was just happy that he had never heard of them before. But those ones I gave him, I had read them 2 or 3 times, so they had to have some spine ticks or something. So I wanted to rebuy some ones that are in great condition. Of course, this is the first Fin Fang 4, where he has like, Googum. And then, of course, they had the follow-up one a few years later, like 6 years later, they had the Fin Fang 4 Returns with the same 4 characters, except they added Electro there. And then a recent one that I didn't know about, but when I was looking for Fin Fang Foom stuff, like this heavy cast iron, whatever you call that thing, a statue?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was like I bid like $13 on it. No one else bid on it, so I won it.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I don't know how much they sold for, but everyone that was selling them from Britain. So I'm like, I don't want to pay the shipping from Britain. And then some guy from wherever, California, put up. And the last one was this one I had never seen before.
Add into the little wish list.
Look at that. I have never seen this before. Have you? Gwen Fang Foom?
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome.
It's so silly. And then Spider-Man's running from.
I have a variant cover. I'm gonna have to send you a picture of Crom. It's Wolverine leaping off of a building, attacking Fin Fang Foom.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be nice. I love Wolverine too, but I love the animal more.
So Crom, is there a floor for the slabs that you're collecting? Like, do you have like a certain grade, not under this grade?
Yeah, for Fantastic Four and I just showed them off. I got 2 of them that are in 2.5. One of them is number 4, but I just really wanted the first Submariner. So I got that in 2.5. But most of them, I'm trying to get 3.5 for those ones, no lower than that. And if I can get lucky, like my Galactus trilogy, I think I got a 7 in 49 and a 5 and a 5 and 48 and 50. That's good enough. I mean, it looks good to me.
Yeah. No, as long as they present well, right?
Yeah, and they're not worth that much. I mean, if you look at Spider-Man 50 in a 7 would cost more than a number 50 of Fantastic Four nowadays.
Well, Spider-Man
in my opinion, is going to I see the day where Amazing Fantasy goes for higher at auction than like a Batman #1 in the future. Because I think just the people of my age were dying out. And no one really longs for old books. I mean, oh, that's cool. I got an old book, or I got an expensive book, or I'm trying to invest. I'm an investor or a collector or whatever, or a flipper. But I think people are more wanting characters that they are attached to somehow emotionally. And Spider-Man is so out there now. I meet so many parents for my daughters traveling around the world. And they say, oh, my kid loves, they see my T-shirts I wear, and they're like, oh, my kids love comic book. I say, who do you love? They say, Spider-Man. I'm like, Spider-Man, who? Which one? They say, Spidey and Friends. It's a new cartoon. I don't even know about the cartoon. But
there's a new one on Disney right now that's coming out.
Yeah. So Hulk, it's kind of the same. I've been able to get some higher grades because they're super cheap. The one I'm showing off Thursday is actually a DC character, not Batman, and it was way cheap. So I'm excited to show that. I'm kind of doing it for Matt Likes Comics and Nate. So I'm glad Nate left. So it'll surprise him. And also there's a special trailer that I got sent. I think I say it's from Mildred Gunn, the great grandmother of James. She sent me an unedited trailer of the new Superman movie, and that'll be what I'll show at the beginning of the video. And it was very hard to do, but I think it's funny, even if it's a little inappropriate towards the end, but it's only like 30 seconds long.
Your stuff, you've got a great sense of humor.
I like that one. And then the only one I'm like dead set on though is my Spider-Man. So my Spider-Man, I'm not getting a 1.5. I have to get, like, there was a 5.0 I was going to bid on Heritage, and there was like a little piece of it that was like, I'm like, how can they not see that? By the staple, there's a little piece that's sealed in that plastic inside the inner well. That's flipped off to the side. You could like tear it up. It's like seeing a little boogie on your nose. Like, oh, I got to take that off. I'd want to rip it off.
It's like when you're on the date with the pretty girl and she's got some like little something. You're like,
the bat and the belfry.
You doing this all the time?
Depends on how pretty she is. You might just want to make out with her and lick it off, right?
That way
you're not embarrass her.
Do you have a ASM 7?
I don't. I have
a nice grade copy of that. If you're gonna do your own grading, I have a nice grade copy of a 7.
Okay, that'd be cool. That'd be worth a trade.
Hey, I might be in your debt for something.
You might be. Yeah, there's a kid in Oklahoma, that couldn't do any trades, so he owed me money. The poor kid is just falling apart. I mean, his poor catalytic converter is dead. This dead. He's in a neighborhood that's like scary for him and his girlfriend. And I feel bad, for him sending me money, but I'm like, you said
I've always been like a debt is a debt, right? Like,
well, you shook hands basically, right? So even though we did it telephonically, but I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff on live.
Right. No, like when I owe somebody some money, I'm always at least trying to send them something every month. Like,
right. No, I understand.
Something, right? Not like I didn't forget about you. Like, I owe you something.
No, I understand. It's just I'm just a little different. I'm in a different situation. I just, I'm fortunate enough to not have any debt in my life. I don't have a house payment. I don't have a car payment. So, and then I get a disability check because you can see, obviously, mentally I'm disabled. At least the military thinks so, and my wife included. And then I have full retirement for 27 years in the military, and then I work for the state, which so I don't get.
You get basically, you're one person, but you get like 3 incomes.
I do. I get 3 incomes, and so I can afford to, like, I'll be honest with you. No one knows what it is yet, and I'm not going to tell it, but I already know that I don't want to keep it. But I am paying, so you can guess the price. So I have 3 months left of my payments. I've been paying just under $7,000 a month for a book that I bought.
Oh my goodness.
It is one of the, I would say, there's no one that would disagree with me, one of the top 10 holy grails of all time. And of course, it's a golden age book.
I know what it is. Just because you said what you said, I know what it is, and you don't want to keep it.
No, I've already got the thumbnail made. Even I said it's called Buying Batman,
Hey guys.
and then I'm going to say what's next? Sell, trade, auction.
I'll just be forever in your debt. I'll be paying to your estate.
So which book was it that you're?
He's not.
I just tell him that
he's not saying, but he's
went ahead and
alluding
let
to
people
it.
know I bought Batman #1, so
Wow.
it's only a 2.0, but it costs so much that
Crazy book.
I'm paying $6,900 a month, and I've been paying on it for months, and I've got.
Did you get a good?
I just did
get a good price on
an
it?
auction. I just auctioned off some stuff that I got doubles of that I have slab now because I'm not collecting the singles. So with all that money I got, I was shocked at what people were paying for my crappy books that I got. Because some of the auctions, I thought you always would lose money, but I actually made money on 10 of the 12 books I put up for auction on my comic shop, which shocked me.
Oh wow.
Not a lot of profit, but some profit. So now I have what do you call that? Credit.
Yeah. Store credit. Yeah.
And so I have to call the young lady Monday on the 20th,
credit.
and I'm going to ask her, can I take that credit, which all their regulations say it's treated just as cash for anything, and if I can put that towards my Batman #1.
Absolutely, you should be able to, for sure.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think so.
Yeah, because I want to get it
pretty good.
I want to get it by the end of. Well, I know it's going to take time to ship it and stuff like that, but I want to get it by March instead of May. I want to pay it off early. Excuse me, and I paid $20,000 up front. So they demanded. Well, you had to pay like 20. What you had to pay? I didn't have to pay that much, but I wanted to pay a big chunk, so my payments would be lower. But my payments never changed. They automatically were still set at $6,000 something. And I said,
And
why
did
is
they do it like 6 months payment term kind of idea, or is that?
Yeah, but whatever the initial payment term is, they won't change it. I could have gave them the whole thing except for $100, and it still would have showed the same monthly payment, but it would have showed that you were ahead on payments.
Yeah.
It would have said paid. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar with that because you bought that one book you had mentioned for like 16,000 or something, right? One time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you'd mentioned you did payments probably through Ding 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 company too. I mentioned you earlier, Alan. We were talking about what did they wish they did as a kid, and Brian was saying he wished he knew about first appearances.
I knew about first appearances. I wish I had followed my gut and picked up more first appearances when I was a kid.
Yeah, so I mentioned you in the chat because I used to get dragged to yard sales by my mom. She thought that's where all the great deals with, and she loved going to Jewish synagogues because all the women's in Detroit area near the nice part of 6 Mile Road, not where Eminem lived, but closer to Pontiac and Birmingham and all the fancy houses where Robin Williams was raised at. They would sell this stuff in synagogues, and there were tons of those old comics, which you'd call good girl comics. They would sell those for a penny.
Oh, wow.
Because I dig through them. They say, I'll sell you all these for a penny. I said, I only have 50 cents. I said, I'm looking for a superhero. They said, well, if you buy 10 superhero ones, we'll give you a bundle of those. They're just trying to give them away. So I wonder who got those, or did they destroy them, or who they were. But I remember a lot of the covers were just girls in bikinis and all this type of, tied up and stuff. And as a 7-year-old, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have picked that up as a kid, but
yeah, now I like looking at it, but I always looked over to see if my mom saw me looking at the cover.
Yeah, no, I'd be too embarrassed. My mom saw me buy something like that.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, but that would have been a steal.
Right.
Yeah, I wish I would have bought them, and then I could have been a millionaire just selling them to you for half price.
Probably.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it for me. I'm gonna go get my diabetic snack while you guys talk, and I'll be back.
Chrome, I'll send you some messages later with some pictures.
Oh, about the Spidey 7 thing.
Spidey, and I've got some really early FF too, so slabs. So.
Well, I've got every FF. Really, I just haven't showed them yet. I got every one except 1 and 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been
Well,
collecting. I'm doing 1 through 102, and I don't want to show them all in one video. So
So
literally,
if you're watching
have
my
every single one
stream
of them
here,
already.
forget
I
that he
bought them
said
like
that
in a
when he
month.
shows stuff.
So,
Yeah, you just show like 10 at a time or something because it's just too much. Who wants to watch
yeah,
a
for
30-minute
sure.
video? You know,
For
it's
sure.
hard for people that don't, if you have a channel that don't have a lot of people watch it, like on my main channel where I'm just like cooking Samoan food for me and my wife, those people will watch 3-hour movie videos of mine.
oh wow.
And then, you watch the algorithm, then you watch till the very end. And all we're doing is eating and cooking. But, most
I always
Samoans
wondered why those kind of videos do so well. Those videos do way better than comic channels.
well, people that enjoy watching people eat tend to eat and snack while they're watching people eat and snack. I
Or
don't
they're
know.
doing something where they want something on in the background.
So you're
Like I know
encouraging obesity all
Yeah.
over
Probably
the
that.
place.
Pop Comics, he does those ones where he just shows comic after comic after comic.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, a lot of people just put that video on in the background while they're bagging and boarding things and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
And
know.
they'll watch like 5
that's one
hours
of
of him
his
showing
tricks.
one book after another.
That's
So
one of his tricks to make money off his channel, where he does those.
he does pretty
long
well with.
play. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so many channels. He's making really good money off of all of them. So
Yeah.
but I wanted to give fair time to Jason. You're next up. I was asking everybody like big things you picked up during the year, things you've learned during the last year, goals you have for this upcoming year, and do you have specific things you're looking for, or are you just going for whatever the nets will catch?
Well, I finished my Ghost Rider 1, and then this year I got a bunch of really good Christmas gifts later on from a couple of my buddies.
Nice.
So they gave me Champions 1.
Oh, very cool.
Just started collecting that one.
And then, of course, they gave me the Legion of Monsters 28.
Oh, very
that's
nice.
very
Very
nice.
nice.
And then they gave me Marvel Spotlight 6.
Oh, so you got second
close.
Ghost Rider. Yeah.
Yeah, so second Ghost Rider. So then, last couple of things. They also gave me ASM 134 because they know I'm into Punisher, so second Punisher.
Right.
And then I picked up last year, this was my Grail book, which is a very low grade Ghost Rider
1. Yeah,
Wow.
there you go.
So my goal this year was to, since I've got Marvel Spotlight 6, I'm going to try to get 6 through 11, or I got 6. So that was that. So, and you'll see it in upcoming videos, but I did a little short on this. So I've got 9 now, and I've got 10, and they're just low grade copies, but I've got them. So
I think I might have a 7 and an 8 if you're interested.
Oh, I have them coming.
Oh, you have them coming already.
I actually completed it because I got on some auctions and I couldn't believe how low they were selling. That's like with the market dip.
Yeah, the market's great.
Right.
Picking those
So
things.
that
up.
answers the question for me. Obviously, Crom doesn't mind buying off the internet. We were just talking earlier also about like whether people like to buy in person or prefer or don't mind buying online. So you don't care if you're getting them online or.
Well, I've come to the conclusion as an early Ghost Rider hunter and even the later volume 2 with Danny Ketch with the low print run for like the last few issues.
Right.
If you don't buy them online, you're not going to find them.
Jason, I've been looking for the end of that run for probably 2 years now, and
yeah, you need to shoot me the numbers you need because I do have a few duplicates, but I guarantee they're probably ones you already were able to find. But I'm like trying to finish volume 2. I literally was at Terrificon, could not find the numbers, and that's the big show I go to.
Wow,
because I have like I'm in northern New York, so like mine is down in Hamilton, and he's in the middle of nowhere. I'm closer to Canada than I am to Syracuse.
So, Jason, were you there this year?
You're probably close to me.
I was.
We just didn't. We did. Did any of the guys that are my circle? Did we run into you, or were we not yet?
Didn't he?
We had not yet been acquainted. I actually ran into you and kind of waved because I was like, "Hey, I know him from YouTube," and then it's like I had just started my channel.
There's some people that we would be like, hey, somebody just waved at me. I have no idea who that was.
Alan, where are you, by the way? Because you said
I'm in Ottawa.
Ottawa, yeah. So I'm in Watertown.
Mm-hmm.
So just over the Thousand Islands Bridge down. If you went past A Bay, I'm about an hour and a half. Well, 48 minutes from Kingston.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So I'm about probably
close.
3 or 4 hours from you. So.
Yeah.
So you're right up there in that whole area with like Colossus and Mike and all those guys. So
yeah, I haven't actually went to Canada in a very long time. I actually wanted to do a video of kind of going across and seeing, the comic shops over there and seeing what I could do. So
there are some good shops, but not near me.
Yeah. Well, like I go down to Syracuse a lot, and they opened a local one up near me, but that's to get new books. He actually has quite a good back catalog, but nothing Ghost Rider related. That's where I gave up because I found just enough at Terrificon that I'm only missing like 6 issues. And I can't find those 6 issues, and I gave up, and I'm like, I'm going on eBay. I'm going on my comic shop. I'm going to finish this. So that was last year's goal. So, and then I was holding off on Ghost Rider 1 because it's not super expensive, but in my budget, I'm like, can't really do it. And then I'm like, okay, that's a low enough grade copy that the right price that I'm just going to do it and finish it. So
what was there was at the end of that run, there was 2 books that they published later on. There was the finale book that came out years later, and then there was a
finale book came out in 2007.
And then there was a special, right? A summer special that came out.
There was a summer special after that, but I don't even have the summer special because I don't consider it part of the run.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
But
how long is the run?
The story, part of the story.
It was 93 issues.
I think it was 93.
Wow.
It was 93, and then I think 93 actually was the 2007 because they ended at 92 because they just canceled it and they never finished.
They had all these hanging storylines.
Yeah. Like it was so all over the place. And you had Noble Kale, and nobody knew what was going on with Danny, and we have Cyborg Blaze. It was great.
So they kind of wrapped it all up in one bow.
They did
the night.
Yeah, they wrapped it up at the end, kind of thing, and that was the hardest one to find because I think that only had a 14,000 print run.
Right, because it was like I remember when it was solicited, everybody was like, "This series has been over for how long?"
Yeah,
I don't have.
That was a thing, but it was like us guys that were like hanging on that last issue. It's like, come on, guys, but. The only reason there's any key significance in like the last 4 or 5 issues in the volume 2 of Ghost Rider are because of the low print run. That's
just
the
like
only
G.I.
key
Joe and
significance.
Transformers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of series like from the 90s were like that. They just kept going, but the print runs were so low that if you didn't get it, you're shit out of luck, basically.
So I do have if one of you guys needs the finale, I think I have the finale issue and I have the summer special also.
Yeah, no, I had volume 2 finished off before I started the YouTube channel, and that's kind of where I was like, I want to show this off. So I'm watching all, like I had watched Mon, and I actually met him at Free Comic Book Day very, very briefly, which was kind of a funny story. He said like in the video, like later on, but he was in we were meeting Joe Jesco, because he was at Funky Town signing, and he was there, but he was on limited time. And I'm actually in line, and the way they had it set up is the table for Joe was over here, and they had it kind of partitioned. So I'm standing here, and I just saw Mon's head, and I'm like, Mon Comics, and he kind of looked around, and then didn't really realize it was me.
Right.
And then like I can't really talk to him, so he's going over to the autograph. I'm going up to the checkout, and I'm like, I guess that's going to be it. And then he caught me in the parking lot. Goes, oh yeah, it's great. What's your name? Okay, Justin. And I'm like, no, it's Jason. Yeah. And then basically he's like, I got limited time. I've got to head back, and I know I have a drive and stuff like that. He goes, but it's really nice meeting you. And then his next video, he actually like shouted me out, and he goes, I met Jason, And then at Terrificon, I had finally met Mike briefly, because he was actually filming a video and I didn't want to interrupt him. And then Tessa is a nerd was like there with 360 kind of sitting behind her, and I'm like introducing myself to them. Met Mike briefly, still hadn't ran into anybody. I ran into Ricky right after he was loading his I Just Met Keanu Reeves video.
Oh, right.
And then I am trying to quit smoking this year. That's one of my resolutions, but I'm a smoker. So I was out in the smoking area, and then just randomly Mon came out.
Yeah, he went out he'd do that to just take a break outside a lot.
Yeah, he just went outside and
see some sun
literally
and touch some grass.
Yeah, and then so he went out and he saw me and he's like, "Hey, buddy!" He took a picture. I'm so out of it because I had tried doing a Ghost Rider cosplay, which is never a good idea.
That's right.
And then so like I'm just sitting there going like this, and like he's taking a snapshot. He's smart enough to pull out his camera and does like a little 5-minute, video thing that he uses for a video later on for YouTube.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, it was a drive, So I was like, I can put sentences together, not right now. So. But that was like the interaction, and then Colossus was actually calling him because that was when they were going in to have Daredevil sign everything.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, bye. Okay, I'll see you. And he's like, free comic book day. We'll see you. So then we've been Instagramming on what we're going to do for that because we're going to meet up in Syracuse area. So
that's cool. Yeah,
Cool.
It's really fun hanging out with everybody and running into people, but it's very hectic for sure.
It is. And like when I saw you, because I didn't actually know Bronze Age at the time, I'd actually just been following your channel. So I saw you, but you were actually beelining over to look in a bin real quick, or I don't know if you were looking at a bin or something. Yeah. And then like just I look over and then there was Pop Comics over like sorting a bag. And I'm like, okay. So it's like I met a whole bunch of people. I didn't introduce myself a lot. But.
Yeah. Well, next time.
Yeah. Well, next time I figure I'm going to throw an out there, I'll be there, kind of thing and stuff like that. And now that I know you, at least know you enough to talk to you online and stuff like that, if I see you in person, I can actually have a little more confidence.
Here.
Hey, buddy.
Right. So. For sure. Right on. Well, Alan will ask you the same questions, but I know you don't mind buying stuff online, so we know that. Things you learned this last year, resolutions you've made for collecting this year, anything, and anything you're specifically going after, or are you just whatever tickles your fancy?
Okay, so things I learned last year. It's really brutal doing a Kickstarter. That's
good news good information for people.
Yeah, no, I'm still dealing with my Kickstarter. I was having some issues today about it. So that's been a bit of a nightmare. But it's cool to have your own comic under your belt, but it's a very painful process.
Right.
So that's one thing I learned last year. I'm hoping to get better at that. In terms of like buying stuff, I put out my top 10 want list. Actually, the funny thing is what I did was I recorded that video, I think at the very beginning of the year, but then I only aired it like a few days ago, just recently aired it. And
I haven't caught that one yet.
Yeah, I basically picked up already from the top 10 that I was chasing after 6 out of the top 10.
Nice.
Wow.
What about Zombie Tramp number 3?
Zombie Tramp number 3 is like it's eluding me. It's
is
one of those
it in the
books
list though? Is it top 10?
Yeah, it's in my top 10. It'll be there until I can find it. I'm gonna have it as a legacy that I'm constantly going for that one book.
I've been looking for him.
Zombie Tramp was very good to me last year.
Some jerk actually commented on my channel. I have 3 copies of Zombie Tramp number 3.
Which volume?
Yeah, I think they meant volume.
Because I've sent you how many pictures of like
volume.
I found up Zombie Tramp volume 3. You're like, that's not the one. I'm like, all right.
No, it's not the one. It's not the one. So
why is it so rare?
It is intensely rare. I think there's about 250 copies that they printed.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
that's more rare than the Teenage Ninja Turtle first one.
I have 1 and 2, which also had that kind of low print run. Yeah, the first one I got right next to me.
Part of that trading of stuff that I got with there's one of them. Stuff that I traded to Stepo to get some of those books was I found a shop that had a large run of you remember of Zombie Tramp.
Yeah, yeah.
Multiple copies, and they had the A and B covers, the rare naughty covers. And
the funny thing is, actually, I have a feeling that the naughty covers are less rare.
Really?
Because I think they sell for more. So I have a feeling that they probably print more of those and then don't really bother printing the nice versions that much.
Huh.
But yeah.
Anyway. But yeah,
they go
found
for about
a
twice
stash
as
of
much anyways, because people like the boobs.
That place that I got them from, the lady passed away, and
oh really?
The store is gone.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh well. So in terms of picking up books, I showed also some of the big books that I picked up last year. I actually have one next to me that I picked up last year, which
That's
is my Flash.
One. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Flash Quarterly. Yeah, All Flash Quarterly, #1. It's in a low grade, but I got it for a great price, so I was like, I'm not going to.
Significance of that book for people who don't know?
Not much. It's Origin of Flash retold, first solo title.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. It's a cool book. I just always like I always like fire covers. I think it's
that's a great iconic cover. Yeah.
It's very iconic. Actually, I can grab one more.
Can you imagine being a fan back then, having to wait 3 months for the next issue? That'd be crazy.
And I picked up. I really like the Blue Beetle, Good Girl. Like I didn't get this for a penny, but I do like Blue Beetle, Good Girl covers. This one, I feel
that's
like
a great grade too.
Yeah, it's actually reasonable grade. I feel like this one would pair really nicely with the Brenda Starr, where she's on the radiator.
Right.
Because it's the same girl with the green dress.
Yeah.
So
you got to put that on your wall that way in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I have both, so I might do that. I was debating it. Every so often I feel like ambitious, and I feel like I'm gonna just strip down my whole entire wall and then put entirely new books up. But then I come up here and I'm like, maybe not.
Right.
it's just so much work. But yeah. So this year I kind of want to one of my sort of goals. I did pick up the Chamber of Chills last year, right?
Right. That's a great book.
But one of my goals was to pick up the top 5 pre-code horror covers. So Weird Mysteries #5, which is the monkey brain one.
Right.
Actually, I have it. One sec here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna grab something. Bear with me.
Does that count for the drinking game? Actually, I have it.
I have it.
I
have it in the this in the pink variant thing.
It's like a reverse negative, huh?
Where they.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse negative thing.
Was that like a special printing or something?
Yeah, it's like a special printing of it. Reprint of it. This one, there's only 53 copies that they printed.
Oh wow.
So it's pretty scarce. And then they also did, the same company also did Tomb of Terror.
It's not quite as graphic as the regular version of that.
Yeah.
The regular version of that. I think I don't know if YouTube would be too. I showed that one and I was afraid that I was going to get I showed one of the ones where it's got the
exploding head.
Noose. No, somebody.
Oh, the noose one.
And I got.
And you got.
They told me that I could not show that video.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I did pick up the real one.
Oh, there you go. That's very graphic. I was like, there's a gear. I'm like, is that guy like a robot?
Yeah, he's a robot. He's
a
robot. He's exploding. So yeah.
Gotcha.
So actually one of the 6 that I did pick up is the Weird Mysteries. So that's I'm doing the same thing as Crom is doing. I'm doing a payment plan.
Right.
Yeah. I think
right now we were just talking I forget. Oh, it was on Mon's video. People were talking about what do you think about the market right now, and it's a great time to be a buyer. Like things becoming available and that you never saw. Like Stephen was saying, a lot of stuff coming out of the woodwork that you haven't seen
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah, I've been saying that for a while, that there's been well, I think what was happening was, at first it was people selling their bigger books. Like I saw a lot of AF-15s coming out and certain big books, but the problem was everybody had the same idea. Oh, I'll just sell my big books to raise some money.
Right.
And they flooded the market, and then those books became worthless. So then what I think people were like, okay, what if I just bring out some obscure book that, it might sell for a bit more that way, So what I was noticing last year, like 2023 was all about the standard grails kind of selling, but 2024 was about these really obscure books selling,
things that you hardly ever see.
Yeah,
you
like
see once
you
or
haven't
twice
seen them
a year coming to market, and they're
Yeah.
coming to market now like 10 or 15 times, right?
Well, not that much.
But
More like-
but more than regular. Yeah.
Yeah, just they would sell, these are books like I'm talking that you see maybe once every 7 years,
Okay.
And for even one copy to come out,
Right.
big deal. So, yeah. So there was a lot of sales like that where I was really shocked because I hadn't seen them. Like my video that I'm doing tomorrow, I basically do an analysis of my comic shop Prime auction that they just had. And when I there was a lot of books that you just don't see that often, or in grade, and they were like, some of them had just zero sales history. Like they just
So it's
never
like
sold.
you're shooting in the dark. You have no idea where it's going to go.
Yeah, one of them, I was actually shocked. I was actually shocked how much it sold for. Series that I collect, it's Popular Teenagers. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the title. But I have a pretty good collection of it. I'm only missing like a few issues. One of the issues that I was missing came up for sale on my comic shop, and they're pretty rare. They're like maybe 10 to 15 on the census typically.
Right.
And so this one had about 5 copies on the census, but no sales history, never sold.
Right.
And typically in higher grades, you're paying like $1,000 to $2,000, kind of that range. Okay.
Right.
This one sold for $7,000.
Wow.
Wow.
I was like,
so even in a buyer's market,
I thought it, because
amount.
it was my comic shop auction. Yeah, because as I said, I think what was happening was these people that were selling realized that if they sold the same stuff that everyone else is selling, it's just you're going to get kind of like a depreciation for your book.
Right.
But if you bring out something that nobody's seen for a while, you'll get those big collectors that will pay the big money. Because Golden Age collectors are kind of a little bit different than the modern age. Modern age collectors maybe a little bit more hurt by the market being down. But the Golden Age collectors, they're usually boomers, or like they're older people that, or maybe just have a little bit extra cash to play with. And they're just a different group of people. And they're willing to kind of pony up for some rare books.
Right.
Because I've seen some really rare books that you just don't see, and I picked up a few of them myself. But it's a pretty interesting year that way.
That's
when
cool.
you look and you see how many are graded, like there's 5 graded copies, does CGC or anywhere else show you when it was graded? Because I wonder if some of these people held on to these books in raw
and then waited to get them graded.
What's
There's
that?
actually a site that I found that's really, really useful. I actually did a video about it, where they show you the census growth. So you can actually see like, okay, this one comic, 20 people graded it in 1999 or in 2000 or whatever, whatever year. And then you can see each year or each month how many copies got graded. So
is
you
that
can
the one that
actually
Ryan
see
was using
growth.
Is that the one that Ryan was using to track the stuff where when that big explosion of 10.0s was going on, he was using a site similarly
to track it. Yeah. So that was the site that I looked at. And the way I looked at it very differently than the way Ryan looked at it. So the way I interpreted it is, if I see a lot of grading activity, that means that there's probably interest. The only reason you get books graded is you either plan to sell it, or there's that demand that you see, and then there's that value that you see in getting it graded, especially in the
Right.
lower grades, right? Like you don't
Right.
get a book graded if it's worth under $100. Why bother? So
Right.
if you see that a book is getting a lot of grading happening, especially in the lower grades, then you know that that book is potentially somewhat hot. You know what I mean?
Right.
People always say, "Oh, there's more." That means there's more on the market. Probably not. Actually, that's one of the misconceptions. Like people say, "Oh, there's more on the census, therefore they're flooding the market." Right? That's
Right.
actually not true, because those books would have just been raw books that were in the market anyways.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people kind of make that misconception, have that misconception that, oh, there's like 20 more 9/8s. Well, those were raw 9/8s before that were probably on the market as well.
Yeah. It also makes you wonder how many ghost copies are out there, right? Like how many
Oh, yeah.
copies were cracked and pressed and not reported the numbers to take
Yeah.
off of the census.
Based
So-
on some of the activity that I saw, especially in the golden age, where half a point can mean thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what I was thinking, that there's people that, like, when you start dealing with some of these kind of higher end dealers or buyers, they know stuff. They know
Right.
stuff that nobody else seems to know. They will actually know specific books. They'll be like, "Oh, I know that book. That specific book."
That book has this flaw in it that might be able to
Yeah,
be removed.
exactly.
Right.
And so what it is they'll know that the census, it'll say 20 on the census, but the real number is maybe 5.
Hey, there's somebody else in the back here.
Oh, okay. Do we got? Oh, we got my nemesis.
Hey.
You brought my nemesis in. Okay, that's how this works.
Steven, you're muted, I
Okay.
think.
Oh, that's good. No, leave him muted. It's okay.
Can I unmute you? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can unmute you. No, I cannot. So
Oh,
your
wow.
mic is not working right now.
Oh, there we go.
How about
There
Now
we
we
go.
hear
I
you.
can see him.
Now we hear you.
That's good.
There we go. Well, Steven, you'll have to watch this replay. There was a big love fest for you at the beginning from a bunch of us talking about
There was?
how much we love you, buddy.
Oh,
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
I hope I get some love too someday. Okay.
You did. There
but-
was a shot.
Oh,
we
there
had a big
was.
thing about talking about like people, and I should ask you guys, all you guys that are on here right now, because it's a different group. Are there anybody you guys want to shout out from this last year that's really influenced you or been helpful to you, or people that you care about channel wise that you want people to follow?
So for me, Matt likes comics.
He came up earlier. Yeah, a lot of people were
Yeah,
talking
so
about him.
the reason I like all of you guys. I know you guys.
Mhm.
I like, but I don't know you guys in person. You're not real yet. You're sort of like my imaginary friends that I tell people about and say, really, they're my friends. Really, they are. And but I've never actually met any of you guys, and I feel kind of lame that I have friends that I've never actually met. But Matt is one of the few people that I've actually met in person, and we hang out. So it's kind of a different thing. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Matt.
So Matt likes comics.
One of the guys.
So anybody watching or watching on the rewind, please sub up to Matt likes comics.
I like
And
Matt.
I really do
I like
like
Matt
our.
too.
I like our.
What's that?
And I like our crew on Fridays, Stephen.
Yeah.
Like with Nate and Lyle and
Hagen.
Hagen. They're all really great guys. You guys just had Hagen and Nate on your
Hagen and
channel
Nate were the
earlier,
guys
right?
who kicked this show off. Yeah, we
Yeah,
they were the
I
ones
saw
who
them
were
in the thumbnail.
the
So I was
impetus
like, oh, that's really
talking.
funny.
You guys had your show on Friday, and then Hagen and Nate and I were talking on Instagram, and they were like, we should hang out and talk. And so we just said, hey, let's do one on Saturday night. So
Well, actually, I felt bad because normally I would have you on the show on Friday too.
it's a rarity that I've been
busy
available on a
lately.
Friday.
Yeah, you've been so.
You've been so
that-
busy with work. It's we just
Right.
don't see you hardly.
Right.
Yeah, but the way you probably have the same limitations that I do, right? Where it's only 6
Yeah, I can only
people
have
you're allowed
6.
to have on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, like I think Bleeker also in, and I was like, oh, I can't because it's kind of already full, and I thought you might have wanted to come on, so I felt bad actually on Friday that I couldn't bring you guys on.
It's weird because I do the show with Bronze, and we do it through the EXP. I actually have access to using their account, which is the premium account. So I could have 10 if I went through, but I'm not sure all of what I need to do to make sure I don't affect what's going on their streams and stuff.
Okay.
So, but so
Yeah.
Eric, Crom, Jason, any of those? I think I already asked you, Eric, but if there is a
Hi, gentlemen.
Hello, Stephen.
Oh,
Hi, guys.
Is there anybody that you guys want to shout out?
I think we hit them all. Bigby
We hit
that
them
I
all
would
already?
have.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to shout out Stephen too. I love your sarcasm with Alan, especially. That's some of my favorite.
People just like to see me
humor.
get tortured. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's the way he does it. He
You
could
guys
do
play
that
well
to any
off
of
each
us.
other.
It's how he does it. And I love his references, of course, because me and him are from the same generation, basically. So I understand everything he's saying. Where I know that younger people are like, "Oh, I bet you don't know what he meant there." I bet he don't know what about I don't know, Mr. Ed or whoever, whatever he talks about. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Well, we were.
Alan, I will throw out that I really appreciated your video that you did that I finally watched about creating a channel.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
shouted
that
you
was
out
very
earlier for
informative,
that,
and
Alan.
Eric had shouted it out as well. But it's like, as Eric had pointed out, had I been able to see that, 6 months ago when I first started, I would not have cringeworthy videos that I have currently on my channel. That nobody should ever look at the early stuff ever.
But I said that
Wait.
earlier. I said if you're thinking about, if you're watching right now and you're thinking about starting a channel, go back to a channel that you enjoy and watch their first videos, and you'll not be worried about starting a channel, because everybody starts out and doing the same level, not necessarily the same level, but pretty low production standards, and you get better as time. Just
I'm
jump
still
in
at that
into
low production standards now, so I'm not sure where this is going.
Thank you, Crom. That was very kind. I appreciate that. We were lucky to grow up when we did because of the number of books that were around and the whole culture and Silver Age that we had around us. It made things. Everything was so plentiful, and everything was 10, 12, and 15 cents a throw, and you could cuddle on and get 10 comic books, or you could do your chores and be able to buy all the books you really wanted to. And that's when they were actual comic books, not these basically pamphlets that we have now.
Right.
It's not that it's just the way it is now,
Yeah, it's different.
But I've watched younger people's channels and saying, mentioning old timers and saying, some people like a lot of dialogue. He goes, I don't understand. It takes away from the art. And for me, I'm like, he goes, there's just so many panels. It's so hard to read. It takes like a half an hour to read the book.
Oh, no!
the book part of the comic book, right?
Yeah, I mean, with $1, you could get 5 comic books, which I didn't quite buy comics at that time. But, the 12 cent, 15, 20 was my prime of my life buying comic books. And all I could get for $1, just, you could pick and choose, and that's why, even though I would flip through an Archie or a Jughead, I never would buy that, because I had to have my superhero guys, I had to have people that I thought that I could be when I grew up. And no matter how hard I tried, I did not foresee that I could have been Betty or Veronica. I just didn't know it at that time.
Well, nowadays,
yeah, nowadays you can be anything you identify as.
I can be
Attack helicopter.
I identify as Midge.
Well, we were showing some of our best books for the year. I don't want to go too much further, so I'm going to wrap up with my top 2 for the year. And Steppo, you were helpful in me acquiring this book, Fantastic Four #1. A big shout out to Steppo and to Travis, big participants in helping me to acquire this book. So thank you to both of you guys.
You got that for a steal, I think. You got a good.
I got a great deal on this book. I still got to get it pressed and cleaned and graded, but I got some things I need to pay off. One of those I'll show you in a second. And then the other best book I got for the year, right after neither of these books I thought I would acquire during the year. So this one here from
I thought that was
First Iron
crazy
Man,
that you picked up was like 3 or 4 major books that you picked up. I was like,
I
what?
picked up some insane books that I had no idea that I was going to get during the year, and
He had some dirt on some people.
Exactly.
no,
And he knows
Oh,
how to
he
use
didn't
it.
know me. He didn't know me.
Bunch of-
I wanted it to go definitely to someone that really wanted it, if that makes sense, and not someone that was going to sell it right away.
Flip it.
Oh, it's going to be in my
Exactly.
collection until I die, buddy.
But I love
Yeah,
doing
so a
that as
bunch of his
something-
family members are missing kidneys right now, but it's all
Yeah.
good.
You only need
It's like
one.
Zombie Tramp. If I find that, I'm sending it to you for free. I don't want anything for it, but I desperately want to find it. When I hear that people can't find one book, I search for it for hours.
I've been searching
Looking
for it
for
for I don't know, years.
Yeah, I have no
It's
idea how rare that is. Man, I cannot find it anywhere, and I'm like calling friends of friends, and you know, even James Gunn don't know where to find a copy. So
I only saw it once.
What is the
off-
comic? Zombie Tramp 3?
Zombie Tramp
Yeah.
3.
Oh, for
I only saw it
heaven's
once and I
sake.
lost the auction.
It's the white whale.
Yeah.
Ahab. Well, Stephen, I don't know if you had a chance to answer the question, but we're talking about things we've learned in the last year about the market or collecting.
Yes.
The upcoming year, and are there specifics, or are you just whatever the nets will catch? So
Well, specifically, we're in a position right now of transition, I think. I think the last 3.5 years, due to the economy and the fact that prices got so high, and insurance and schooling and property taxes and running your house and having children was so expensive that comic books were and always are considered luxuries. And as a result, because they had to get their money out, they chose that time to exercise that option to sell. But it wasn't just one or two. Over this last year, I have never in my life seen so many books I've never seen before, or in the number, or in the variety of them being sold, most often at a fair price or very close to fair. And so it's been a buyer's market. But I honestly feel as though, and I had another collection that I sold specifically to move I had a martial arms collection, U.S. martial arms. And I moved all of those. And then what I did was I basically rolled it over and took advantage of this buyer's market and went after Baker and Marvel Monsters, the Hulk, the first 6 of the Hulk, any number of, a lot of Matt Bakers, Jack Kamens, a lot of oddball stuff, lots and lots of Atomic Age books, because the Atomic Age, to me, I love the Golden Age from 38 to 45, and the Golden Age goes also on from there. But the section after the war, when the topics and the quality of the comics, the contents changed dramatically to accommodate the guys coming back from war who didn't want to see guys flying around in tights with capes. They wanted pretty girls, they wanted crime, they wanted monsters, they wanted science fiction. And by God, the comic industry responded. And I will say that Bigby, especially in books that I have gotten from you, the Korean War era, as far as war comics of the Korean War, are absolutely the most brutal things I've ever seen.
Right.
World War II comics were not as brutal. War
People
Fury.
getting like shot in the mouth and stuff.
Well,
like
no,
up in those
I had
covers.
like, that's what I from Brian. I got like
I
4
was
or
always
5
joking
books, and
that-
they're all getting shot in the mouth.
Yeah, it's like
And he
so
says, "Hey, Steven, here's another shot in the mouth. You want this one?" And then a couple of Atomic Wars, the Atomic War comics. So I basically have been living in the Atomic Age mostly, and what I've done of late is I have been traveling through to these various auctions and buying newer stuff that's just fun stuff. It isn't like
Right.
Warp Factor 10, but I also have traded almost all of my bronze away, and my most expensive Silver Age book, which was my AF-15. And when I basically purchased or traded for the Captain America #1. The two biggest books of the year for me, if you go December, would be Bat One and Cap One. And I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would own both of those books. I never did. But my comic shop, and here's another thing, same time frame. My comic shop had Batman #1, and they had it priced in such a way that it was accessible.
Right.
And it was absolutely a beautiful copy. And then it was just, again, these things turned. So the way I look at it now is I think that this last sequence of years has been an incredible boon and has flushed out so much Golden Age, Atomic Age material. And with the Silver Age being flushed out as well, and so much more of it, as well as Bronze, the diminution of price because of supply and demand, because of supply and demand, basically has put certain numbers of those books to sleep, at least momentarily. I think that this will turn around. But in the meantime, I wanted to take advantage of interest in Bronze, which I don't really, I only bought those all of the Bronze keys pretty much as a defensive measure, because I knew they would have value, but I didn't grow up with the Bronze Age books. And actually at the time they came out, I eschewed them because I thought it was reheated plots and reheated characters. And I said, the Bronze Age is never going to go anywhere. I was wrong. But I mean, to me, after collecting the Silver Age and then getting into Golden Age, looking at Bronze, basically, I just went, I understand it. I'm going to have some, but they became a means to an end. So I also traded another 5. I traded the last bigger ones that I had. I had a Marvel Premiere 15 and 6. Other. And I traded in 3 more. I traded for a Marvel Mystery that was from the Nicolas Cage collection, and it's a Marvel Mystery in 6.5 from Nick Cage. And so would I rather have, I can replace any Bronze Age book. I could replace literally any Silver Age book.
Right.
But these books are not, the Golden Age ones are not as easy to, nor are they ever as easy to get, and they're very dear. So I think, in answer to your question, long way around, is that I believe that the pendulum is now slowly moving back to center and will then become a seller's market rather than a buyer's market, because these people are going to want to go back out and get the books that they lost, because a collector's a collector. And once I have the money, I'm going to go replace it. They may want to replace it in nicer shape, or they'll say, I don't want to have the Tomb 10. I want to have the House of Mystery 92. I would rather have that, and or whatever. But I know that those people are going to start going. And I also see on my comic shop the prices that they're asking now for Matt Baker books and a lot of Golden Age. And especially, I am noticing now, especially Fiction House books now, and Standard Needors are actually going way up as well, proportionally. And I think that will only go a little bit higher now as the demand and people understand how rare Golden Age is, that they want to make the change. And it heartens me that younger people are seeing the value and understanding and appreciating Golden Age comics, which for the longest time it was like, there's the old man underneath the lemon tree talking again. And that would be me. But the books themselves and the history around them is and there's so much fewer of them, and they're so closer to the actual creation of our hobby. It's to me is a very, very a very swan or a siren call of Golden Age, and I think that augurs well at interest. And I think that this Superman movie looks like it's going to be good. And I saw the trailer for the Captain America one with Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk, and I just can't see the Falcon as Cap. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to have Chris Evans or somebody like that to be Captain America. I don't like the retcon stuff. I am old school, obviously. Leave the characters alone. If you want to have another character, make a character, but don't just
Yeah.
come in
Well,
and
they are
poach
following the story, but yeah.
and poach and poach characters and make them who they ain't. And the breakout star, of course, will be Guy Gardner, right? Okay, I'm good. You're glad you're going with me on that. I actually went out and finished my Metamorpho run because
nice.
I always liked Metamorpho. I have some here, but I always liked Metamorpho. And when I traded my first collection away, I didn't go back and get Metamorphos, but they have been kind of falling into my lap with Doom Patrol and Metal Men. Those have been sort of
Nets will catch, right?
So anyway, but that is my feeling on the. I have gotten, and if you look at my wall on Instagram on Collecto6, all of my mania as far as the books that I have been finding are up there, and I have to thank you, but I have to cross swords with Alan all the time because he keeps stealing stuff out of my cart.
Alan's
I don't think
and then I want to have, and these books are just drenched in Alan's tears, and it is the most wonderful thing. It feels good, and then the angst and the pain that is involved in that. And of course, I want you to know that Alan returned the favor to me when I had my great unboxing a year or two ago, when I had all those expensive books and I unboxed them, and my Phantom Lady 17 came back trimmed on 3 edges.
Yeah.
And then I basically cried on camera. And Alan, the whole time this is going on, I'm sitting there completely burned, and he's the Cheshire Cat.
Smile.
His face disappeared, and the smile got bigger.
You said the thing about the Captain America trailer. I think the one that really excites me is the Thunderbolts trailer. That's really, really good.
I think it looked okay. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
I have a bit of hope for.
Yeah, but I like
Is the Thunderbolts the one that has Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk?
No,
that's
Cap. I don't know if I've seen the
one
Thunderbolts.
that has Bucky, Winter Soldier, and the new Black Widow, and it has
Maria
Sentry and everybody else. It looks really good. It's all those fringe,
it's kind of
bad
like
guy
Suicide
kind
Squad
of
a
esque
bit, I feel.
characters. Hill Barney. All right. Well, this stream has been going for over 3 hours, and Eric is looking really tired up there. Do you guys want to continue going on, or are we reaching the end of our fuel?
We're good.
We're good. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody who's been on tonight, and for those of you watching the show, if you can please sub up to all these guys: Eric SideQuest, Son of Crom, Jason Renegade Rants, Comic Collector Geek, Collecto6 on Instagram. All these guys are great, as well as my guys that were on earlier, Hagen from Lettuce Comics, and Nate from Holly Out. So thanks, you guys, and I just want to say, share your love of comics with everyone you meet. You never know where it may lead you. You may get to hang out with all these awesome people like I got to hang out with tonight. So
yeah, and I'm going to personally nominate Collecto6 for February's, the buy-in tournament or the play-in tournament for the year. Because my ultimate dream is to see Collecto and Alan in the finals.
Oh, man, that was rough.
Well, we already had a one-on-one conflict when I was the warmonger and he was Judah Man.
Oh, right. Have you seen that on Ricky's channel? Oh, you gotta watch. You would play a character. It was great.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I love Ricky.
We've gone toe to toe with Ricky, all sorts of words, and Alan was he was Judah Man, and he was a judo man, but now he's Judah Man.
Oh, I thought he was like Judas Man.
Yeah, I was kind of playing a little bit on that.
Oh,
okay. And Collector or Steven was he was talking
warmonger.
He was talking to his Tommy gun. Tommy, what's that you say?
Tommy, what is it you got? Leave me alone. I'm talking comic books. All right, we'll play later.
You gotta watch that video. It's hilarious. But that was rough when you put me up against Bronze. Oh my gosh.
That was just random draws though, so random.
I felt so
I need
bad.
you to know that was one of those that I wasn't going to vote, but I needed to vote.
That was rough. But
I voted for
and
you.
I was surprised that
I voted for you,
I thought
Brian.
Bronze had it hands down, but I was
It's
lucky.
just funny
Well,
to me
Alan,
that
you and I were in the first run going
Right.
against each
Yeah.
other, and we hadn't actually met. So nice to meet you.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
it's funny though how when you don't have people comment and they have to like say it in public,
They
I'll
won't
get,
say
like,
it.
I'll get like 30 votes, 38 votes, but when it's secret, all of a sudden there's 128 votes.
Right.
Or there's-
People
or
were like,
there's
they don't
70
want to
people.
say, they don't want to say that they're voting for the other person. So they didn't
Or
want to.
the people that have 5 accounts that vote for themselves 5 times don't want to.
I had only
That either.
150 accounts that voted for me, so don't.
I voted
You needed a
for
few
Bronze.
more.
I voted
You
for
needed a
Bronze,
few
and Bronze
more
voted
last
for me. So
Yeah.
It was,
still had a good time voting for you, though.
but if all of those shows that he did were very well done,
Oh yeah.
and I thought that
All sorts of words was awesome.
I thought that his moderation and his putting on the shtick of the feckless announcer,
Yeah.
with the kind of wormy, you'll enjoy it. It's really
there
well
was-
done.
there was
I
me.
wish
I
he
was
had kind of
McFly, the
maintained
time
it,
traveler. I went up against Biggie Shack. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
You dispatched Biggie Shack like
I think he
crazy.
still complains about that one.
Yeah, I think so. I think he.
There is a certain level of angst still floating somewhere.
I love you, Biggie, if you're out there. All right, guys. Well, I want to say thanks again for everybody to be here tonight. And you guys, if you want to hang out after we end, we can. That's fine. But we're going to go ahead and end the stream. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you around.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.